Dignitaries, Rotary family members, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum, Namaskar, and a very good evening to all of you. Honorable Chief Guest, Nisar Sahab, the Governor of Sindh, on behalf of the Conference Committee of Rotary International District 3271, I welcome you to this great occasion of ours. I would like to welcome a person who has been my trainer. Today, I would like to present that person for whom all of you have been asking me since long, especially when I came back after my training from Calcutta. लोगों ने मुझसे पूछा कि तुम्हें किसने ट्रेन किया है? ये जो तुम फाउंडेशन के बारे में इतनी बातें करते रहते हो, तुम्हें कुछ नहीं पता और ये सब बकवास है। कुछ सीनियर रोटेरियंस ने भी ये कहा, तो मैं उसको एक ही जवाब देता था कि बकवास है या सही है, मुझे मेरे ट्रेनर ने ये सिखाया है। तो आपको अगर कोई बात करनी है तो ट्रेनर से करें जा करके। और टुडे आई प्रेजेंट शेखर एंड राशि मेहता, द आरआई डायरेक्टर of our zone, and if anybody has any queries, please refer to them. Thank you, Shekhar. Thank you, Rashi, for your presence here. They are our guests of honor for this evening. I would like to welcome the Rotary International President's representative, past District Governor Krish Rajendran from Sri Lanka, a very good friend of ours. Krish, thank you so much for your presence in Pakistan. I welcome the Rotarians, visiting Rotarians from, before that, I would like to welcome this District Governor Larry and Linda from San Diego, USA, who have come especially on this occasion to attend this conference. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Linda. I would like to welcome the Rotarians from Rotary District 3272 and a delegation led by Governor Parvez Ehsan. Can all the Rotarians from 3272 please rise on their seats? I would like to welcome participants from District 3271 and especially the Rotarians and delegates from the province of Balochistan. Can we please recognize them? Thank you. I would now like to welcome all participants, Rotarians, friends, family members from the province of Sindh and especially the province of Sindh minus Karachi, because the Karachi Rotarians are all hosts. So let us recognize the Rotarians from all parts of Sindh except Karachi. Please rise on your seats. Thank you for your presence here. This conference is going to be successful because of your presence. And finally, I would like to welcome all the Rotarians from Karachi. Thank you so much, Rotarians from Karachi, for your help, for your cooperation, and for all your assistance you have given. The Rotarians of Karachi, can you please rise and get recognized? Thank you. Thank you. And of course, I cannot forget to welcome all the friends, all the guests, ladies and gentlemen who are present here today, who may not have been part of Rotary in terms of their memberships, but they are certainly part of us, the very fact because they are the one who have really supported us in our missions. Friends, as we all know that this is the change makers year, as the RF President Kalyan Banerjee has said that this is going to be a year where we have to change. And this conference is certainly a change makers conference. Till now, we have certainly done a number of programs where we could feel a change. But this conference, I am sure, will be another occasion, another opportunity for each one of you to go for a change. And the first change which you can see in this conference is that for the first time ever, perhaps in Pakistan, we are having a conference, a joint conference of Rotarians, Rotractors, and Intractors. So I would like to thank the Rotractors and Intractors for joining the Rotarians in this conference. We all talk of change. Now, what change, are we really talking of? And what change are we expecting to make during the next 3 days? Well, friends, the change which we talk about is to share ideas. Each one of us are here with some idea. Each one of us have an experience of doing something good. We have to inspire each other. We have the capacity and capability of inspiring each other. We can become mentors of some Rotarians. And then the most important thing is that we can collaborate. Clubs and Rotarians, from various parts can join hands and collaborate in doing something good. The 800 participants present here today can become the catalyst for change. While we are enjoying the great movement of this conference and of this five-star environment, just think of those who even cannot dream for such an environment, to be present in such an environment. We need to think of those sufferers. We need to think of the miseries of those people. And we need to convert this as an opportunity for them to bring joy for all of them. Friends, Rotary is an organization which only teaches us love. All of us present here we love Rotary, and that is the reason why we are here. And that is the reason why Rotarians always say that don't think that someone hates you or someone dislikes you. Just think that you love all. Be good to all and let all be good to you. Your love and romanticism with Rotary can be reflected with this Urdu couplet which says, Sab acha hai to acha hai, bura hai to bura hai, mizaje ishq mein aibe yaar dekhe nahi jate. I thank you.
Well, Muna, what a wonderful introduction. I was just not thinking that it should be so in much detail. You made it. Wow, what a wonderful gathering it is here. Honorable, I may call my friend, my colleague, my wonderful friend, Governor, Acting Governor, and the Speaker of the Provincial Assembly, Nisar Ahmed Khoda Sahab, who is a great friend of mine. Please, And my real friend in the Rotary, see, I met in a very short period of time, this RI director presently, Shekhar Mehta, and the representative from the Rotary International, Krishna Swamy from Sri Lanka. You know, this conference which you see is not at all my effort. All the effort which you see, whatever you like it, anything which you dislike is mine, but whatever you like it, it is only one person responsible for this, and he is the conference chairman, Faiz Kidwai. Galaxy of the past district governor, my friends, my batch mate, is sitting in front of me, Parvez Hassan, my colleagues, my past district of District 3272, change maker leaders, and again I should not forget the person who is over here, the responsible for Aman Ki Asha, Dr. Bose. He has done a great job. And how I could forget my own president of the club, the host president, Ikramullah Siddiqui Saab. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum, and Khush Amdeed, and Bhali Karayo to all my friends from the interior of Sindh. You know, to all the Rotarians, I want to debate one couplet from the Urdu, because they are all working for the humanity, and that is that way कि आइए हाथ उठाएं हम भी, आइए हाथ उठाएं हम जिन्हें रस्म दुआ याद नहीं, हम जिन्हें सोज़े मोहब्बत के सिवा, हम जिन्हें सोज़े मोहब्बत के सिवा कोई बुत कोई खुदा याद नहीं. Because this is our motto. This is what Rotary teaches us. We work in the Rotary only for this sake. And do you have an idea that why we are gathered here? Rotary, which is an international organization which is in more than 200 countries. Our total members of 1.2 million Rotarians which are here. And I must say, they are nothing from the nothing in the world of population where there are 7 billion to date. But we are here with a vision to transfer the world into a place of happiness. Fellow Rotarians, one of the very distinct privilege accorded to the Rotary District Governor during the incumbency is to host this district conference. It is my proud privilege and my duty to welcome you all on this second district conference. This is just 1 year this new district has come into existence, and now this is the second one. There are normally three things which we normally emphasize on the Rotary. One is the Rotary Foundation. You see, foundation is what? The fulcrum of Rotary rotate on this foundation. Just now, you know, he didn't want to be recognized, but I would like to say, and I would like to recognize Murtuza Mashukullah. He's sitting here. Just now he's paid $10,000 over here. $10,000 for the Rotary Foundation. Murtuza, you are here. And now he is going towards the level 3, and this is a great service to the humanity. Whatever the money he's using, all the money will be coming back to Pakistan for the service of the humanity. Well, I have been visiting normally my own district clubs and covered more than 90% of the clubs. They are doing wonderful jobs, great jobs in all aspects of the work, whether this is education, whether this is health, whether it is some problem of water, some sort of any sort of assistance which is there has been done by the Rotarians. I'm so glad that the Rotarians are working so hardly that nothing can compare of this. I'm glad to report that most clubs are healthy and performing up to the mark in this community. Basically, when we talk of the Rotary, there's quite a difference in the membership. Because the membership, I don't know, in our part of the world is quite less. We have got a very special person among us, RI director, and he is supposed that he is the master of this thing. I have especially requested last year also and this year that he must come and tell us that how the Rotary membership could be increased. और इनको देख के मुझे वो एक शेर भी आता है कि नज़र में रहते हो जब तुम नज़र नहीं आते, ये सुर मिलाते हो जब तुम इधर नहीं आते, नज़र में रहते हो जब तुम नज़र नहीं आते, ये सुर बुलाते हैं जब तुम इधर नहीं आते, तो इधर आ जाओ ताकि मेंबरशिप थोड़ी सी यहाँ की बढ़े. Because when we say of Rotary, why we are particularly emphasize on this Rotary membership? Reason of this Rotary membership increase is that we know it's the hands that give more than they receive, hands that build and support, hands that give comfort, hands that feeds, hands that lift a child, simple, sincere, unaltered hands. We are in the search of such hands. And as Faz very rightly told, that this is a change maker here. So in particularly this conference, this is forever for the first time that we have a joint session of the interactors, of the rotractors, and for the Rotarians. So this joint session makes them, that the whole work, how does it work? The Rotary is a family. And when this family works, how does it work together? They may be introduced to each other, and then they will be much more better to work together in this way. Now the biggest problem which I felt is the polio eradication. Unfortunately, the polio has been eradicated from all over the world, almost all over the world. Just for those who doesn't know about the polio's program, the Rotary is one, you see, invested more than $1 billion for the eradication of this thing. And I must congratulate Shekhar Mehta Saab, give my remarks to all the India that they had been successfully doing this thing and they could get this thing eradicated from the all over India. Give them a big clap because they are the one who has done a big job. And now in Pakistan, this is our chance. Now this is, this time we have got a theme. You must have seen the souvenir, you must have seen the theme over here, which says that to reach within, to embrace the humanity. When we call reach within, what does it mean about it? Means that until and unless we think from the core of our heart that this is the problem and we have to solve it in this way, then we can do it. If we just think about it, just listen about it, and just utter about anything, then we will not be able to do that. We have to think it from the core of our heart that we want it. Because what I say is that if India, such a big country, having a lot of complication, problems, similar as to us, can do this thing, why we cannot do this thing? And this should be a plan, and this should be a program that we should think from the core of our heart that we should try to get this thing eradicated. Because this child which is suffering from polio is not the number now. This is my child. This is my grandchild. And we have to think in that manner. Otherwise, this problem will remain same, and this will enter into a big complication later on. So we should now try to think about it, that we should get this thing done in this year or the coming year, whatever is possible. This year, you see, we started one more thing under the banner of Aman Ki Asha. When we call Aman Ki Asha, means peace. Peace among the two neighboring countries, among the two nuclear powers. Why should we fight to each other? When whole of the country are uniting, whole of the world is uniting, why should we fight to each other? We belong from each other countries. You see, wonderful things I had observed, that the youth which came from India, I don't know what fear they had, but when they came to Pakistan, they were so happy that after the close of session, no one was ready to go back. They were so happy about it. And similar was the case when Pakistani children went over there. And this type of fellowship, this sort of understanding is there between the two countries. Why cannot do better into it? We are thankful to the young group, if there's somebody over here. We are thank you to the Times of India, which has collaborated with us in this program, and we have done a great job into it. And we hope so that within a period of time, we'll have a better time together to work. Well, now this is the time I should thanks to some of my friends who has been the partners with me over here in this conference and whole of the year. First of all, the first and the initial name which just comes into my mind, and everybody must have seen is the Faiz. Would you please come and to be recognized as to be my team member? You know, he is the person who was the person. And the other one is my trainer, PTJ Ali Akhtar Sahab. Is he here? Please join with me. You know, these are the two persons, you see, and with all along others, you see, all my past governors, all my future governors, all my presidents who can make this program successful, like you can see over here. I am got a very special thanks to you, sir. I am very much obliged to you. Thank you very much. And the person whose name I didn't took, can you imagine who be? I wanted to call him a little bit separately. The person who is responsible for the eradication of polio, who is responsible to run this district, and he is responsible not to run this district but to run the Pakistani Rotarians into an action. He could be no one other than Aziz Mehman himself. Please recognize and stand yourself. Then, my very special friend, my person who has come all the way from Sri Lanka. You see, he had a lot of problem in getting the visa of his wife. He's feeling quite alone over here. But he came all the way from Sri Lanka, and he is the representative of the Rotary International. Please recognize Krish Swami. And the RI Director Sahab and the spouse, please be recognized. But you are the mentor, you are the person. अब इन लोगों के लिए एक आखिरी शेर जो नॉर्मली मैं पढ़ता हूँ जाते जाते, वो यही कहता हूँ कि अब वो वक्त ख़त्म हो गया है। जब मैंने डिस्ट्रिक्ट ज्वाइन किया था तो उस वक्त मैंने एक शेर पढ़ा था, और वो था कि मोहब्बत अब नहीं होगी, मोहब्बत अब नहीं होगी, ये कुछ दिन बाद में होगी। अब वो टाइम पूरा हो चुका है। मोहब्बत अब नहीं होगी, ये कुछ दिन बाद में होगी, गुजर जाएंगे जब ये दिन, ये उनकी याद में होगी। So this mohabbat is now over. I am so much thankful to you for this gesture. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mona, for those kind words of introduction. District Conference Chairman, Faiz Kidwai, District Governor, Iqbal Qureshi and Ann Nazim, Rotary International Director, Shekhar Mehta and Ann Rashi, visiting district governors from District 3272, Pervis, and DG Larry from San Diego, and Ann Linda, District Governor-elect Jalal and Ann Shahida, District Governor nominee Ibrahim Shah and Ann Farida. I'm sorry, I forgot the chief guest for this evening, Nisha Koro, DGNN, Shabazz Qureshi and Ann Shamshad, Assistant Governors, District Officials, DRR Shahid Tanvir, DIR ASM Kidwal, Presidents, Past Presidents, Interactors, Rotaractors, Inner Wheel members, my dear brothers and sisters of Rotary, from Pakistan, India, Canada, and USA. Assalamu alaikum. Namaste. Ayubowan. I was surprised when I went to Pakistan embassy for my visa. Effortlessly, my visa was granted as I was a Sri Lankan. But the Pakistani visa officer looked at my wife's passport and shook his head sadly and said that it will take time, a lot of time, before her visa to enter Pakistan would be granted. And now, the visa has not yet been granted. I have come here, but she has not. The reason is, she has an Indian passport. Yes, my friends, that is a problem. And it took me by surprise. India and Pakistan are neighboring countries, and at what time they were one country. But how hard it is for neighbors to visit each other. You can travel to New York or Tokyo fairly easy, but it's very hard, as I myself have seen, to visit your neighbors in India as it is for them to visit you. But as Rotarians, we have risen above such differences. I think you may all know about Rotary's peace initiative between India and Pakistan with the signing of the Aman Ki Asha joint project venture. Through this initiative, 200 heart surgeries in India for Pakistani children have been approved. Through this landmark accord, 30 state-of-the-art eye hospitals were to be set up in Pakistan by Indian Rotary districts. Rotary has risen above all divisions. We share a love for humanity that binds us all together. Today, as I heard the three national anthems played, I felt so proud that we are standing here, the people of three different countries, as one body of Rotarians. It is an uplifting feeling for me, as I'm sure it's for you as well. As past district governor Imtiaz Ismail of my district always says, God never distributed to the wealth of the world equally. He gave oil to Middle East, he gave gold to Africa, he gave coal and iron to South America, he gave a wealth of people to India and China, he gave technology to USA and hard work to Japan. And what did he give to Pakistan? God gave Pakistan just what he gave to Sri Lanka, the warmest heart for the people of the country. There is a reason for the way the wealth of the world is not equally distributed. God wanted people to always need each other and hence love each other, and so he created interdependence. This way, each of us needs the other and will end up with mutual love and respect. That is where Rotary comes in. As Rotarians, my friends, every day we are given the opportunity to love and to give to our fellow human beings. We are the people who can bring about change. To bring about the change, let us look at what is happening in the world today. There are youth uprisings all over the world, from Tunisia to Egypt to Libya to Bahrain and now Syria and Iran, dangerously close to Pakistan. Youth are getting together and protesting corruption and autocratic governments all over the world. Their energy pushes them to join uprisings. Youth in all our countries are waiting to be invited to join a cause. And we, as Rotarians, must help them channel their energy. It is our responsibility to invite them to join us to serve our communities. They have unlimited energy to take organizations like ours forward. Failure to involve them in powerful organizations to serve them, to serve the community, has led to many of these youth uprisings. Let us not let youth go astray. This is their time in the sun. Let us give them Rotary. 2012 has been declared the year of greening of Rotary. It is a year that we must build a younger, brighter, more vibrant organization. Rotary is the first service organization that world has ever seen. Before Lions or Kiwanis, Rotary was formed. Rotary has grown in leaps and bounds since inception over 107 years ago. During the 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, and early 90s, our average annual membership increase ranged from 1.5% to 4%, which means we grew from 12,000 to 40,000 Rotarians each year. And then it suddenly stopped. Now, worldwide membership are stagnant. At the end of 2010, we had 1,214 and 264 members. End of 2011, we had 1,223,000 members. And the figure in June 1997 was also the same. So that means we have not grown. Today's youth are high-tech people. Most of our youth are involved with Facebook and other social media. Texting and messaging have become the norm. However, with maturity, it is clear to us that a life without relationships is a meaningless life. But for the young people of today, who are born not with a silver spoon in their mouth, but with a smartphone with their hands, discovering that Rotary is about friendship and striving to accomplish things together can be a novel and refreshing experience. The ideal Rotary experience for all Rotarians, both young and old, will be at Bangkok Convention in May, where Rotarians from over 200 countries will meet to celebrate Rotary and togetherness. This is a convention that none of us must miss. On behalf of our Rotary International President Kalyan Banerjee and First Lady Binota, I extend an invitation to all of you with your families, your children. Please make it to the convention. Rotary in all its glory will be presented to us Rotarians in Bangkok and re-energize us for the new Rotary year. In turn, we can present Rotary to youngsters in a way that will attract them to it. Recently, I read about how to present a situation. An inter-office cricket match was held every year between the marketing department and the support department of a particular company. One particular year, however hard the marketing department tried, they could not beat the support staff department. They lost the cricket match. So they decided look at a novel way of presenting their result on a notice board the next day, where they look good despite losing the match. So this is what they said. They put up a notice that said, the marketing department is pleased to announce that for the recently concluded office cricket season, we came in second place, having lost just one match all year. The support department, however, had a rather hopeless season as they won only one match all season. Presentation, my friends, that is what Rotary needs right now. If each of us presents Rotary to prospective members at a time in our lives that we enjoy, then automatically our membership would become more vibrant. Pride to be a Rotarian would become even more contagious. Prospective members would feel the energy, they would want to be part of the club. They would want to join the club and they would stay. A new idea has come up to improve the situation. Stop thinking of Rotary solely as non-profit service organization and begin to think it as a business and think of our members as our customers. Members join clubs to receive benefits in exchange for the precious time and financial support. In the world of business, the unsatisfied customer leaves and takes his or her business elsewhere. It is the same thing in Rotary. To have satisfied members, we need to make each member feel about Rotary. In reality, Rotary for each one of us is a weekly opportunity to establish, grow, and enjoy real friendships. However, if we look at the undeniable costs of being a member of Rotary, it's time, money, and energy. But what are the profits or benefits of Rotary? Networking, fellowship, personal and business growth. And of course, all of us know one of the greatest benefits of Rotary, the opportunity to serve others both locally and around the world. There is no greater service project than our own Polio Plus program. This is the single most successful program of the Rotary Foundation, and it was started in 1985 and it is still ongoing. The Rotary Foundation is a funding arm of the Rotary International. Working with WHO, UNICEF and others, and funds from the Rotary Foundation, Rotarians worldwide have, through their efforts, eradicated polio from all but 3 countries in the world, that is Nigeria, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. I believe, I was told yesterday that this year alone, from January to March, there have been 13 reported cases of polio in Pakistan. Polio Plus and other projects funded by the Rotary Foundation supply equipment to hospitals, setting up of blood banks, hundreds of others all over the world. In fact, Sri Lanka's largest project, which is also the largest project undertaken by any district in the world, is the schools project, which costed US dollars 12 million US dollars project, out of which Rotary Foundation gave us $2 million, and with that we were able to build 23 new schools for the children devastated by death and destruction that the tsunami of 2004 brought into our country, Sri Lanka. But who funds the Rotary Foundation, my friends? You and I and Rotarians all over the world. When we contribute to the Rotary Foundation and become major donors, Polaris Fellows, Polaris Sustaining Members, the Foundation gets its funding. To carry out our service projects, the Foundation needs funds, and for this, Rotary needs you, me, and more members. We have to put all plans into action, and we have to do it soon. If there is a slowdown of the Rotary movement as the world economy slowed down? No, not at all. If USA and Europe slow down, let us in Pakistan, in Sri Lanka, and India rise to the occasion. In fact, 28% of the Rotary membership comes from our region, Asian region. The 31% comes from USA, Canada, and Caribbean countries. So, though the Rotary movement started in USA, though they had the 100% in 1905, it's getting diluted. Now they have come to 31%, and Asian region one day will overtake USA. We need to take action, and we need to take action today. In order to take action, it is necessary to understand what Rotary is all about. While there are many worldwide definitions, it's simply what you, each and every one of you, personally thinks and feels about Rotary that matters. Let me tell you about this youth in a village in Sri Lanka. He was rather annoyed with the village wise man. He wanted to prove that the old wise man was wrong, or rather that he was not always right. He caught a small bird in his hand, squeezed it so hard, and took it to show the wise man. His plan was ask the wise man whether the bird was alive. If the wise man said yes, the boy planned to squeeze the bird to death. If the wise man said no, then the youth would let it fly free. Either way, he wanted to prove the wise man or the old man was wrong. So he went and he asked the old man, "Old man, is this bird in my hand dead or alive?" The old man looked at the poor little bird, squeezed in the boy's hand, and said, "Son, the bird is whatever you want it to be." My friends, that is what Rotary is. Whatever you want it to be. If you want to be a passenger in your club, then that is what Rotary means to you. On the other hand, if you want to join the millions of us with our families to look within ourselves, to embrace humanity, then we can bring about the change in the world that will lead to a more joyful world for all the children of tomorrow. Thank you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My dear Pakistani brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. वहीं छोड़ देना चाहिए था, हाँ? Friends, what a pleasure it is. Wow, what a crowd it is. The movers and shakers of Pakistan. You are the movers, I am shaker. It's indeed a pleasure and a privilege for both Rashi and me to be here. इकबाल, तुमने कहा कि हम बुलाने से आ नहीं रहे हैं यार, तुमने सिर्फ एक बार कहा और देखो हम आ गए हैं. और मोहब्बत अगर जाने से ही होगी तो हम तो जाने वाले भी नहीं हैं. I was telling when I met the past governors this evening, this afternoon, that there is a strange enigma about Pakistan as far as Indians are concerned, and I'm sure it is vice versa. As I mentioned, the day I decided, yes, I would be coming here, I told a few of my friends, and they were all eager. They said, तुम जब जाओगे मैं जाऊंगा. मैं अपने बच्चों को बोलता हूँ कई बार चलो मेरे साथ किसी रोटरी फंक्शन में. They are not very keen, but when I mentioned Pakistan, they would be ready to come absolutely. And strangely enough, this is the only place where we create fuss about visas. शायद इसी कारण से वो एनिग्मा है. अगर बहुत इजीली आ जा पाते तो शायद ये एनिग्मा भी नहीं होता. पर इसे हटाने की ज़रूरत है. And I am sure our chief guest here is listening to our conversation, and probably something will. He is one person amongst us who can move this. And I am sure when we get back to India, we will try and do something about it. Chief guest, Nisar Khawra Sahab, Chris, RI President's representative, Governor Iqbal, and the other two governors who are present here, Larry and Parvez, and all the PDGs, the pearls, diamonds, and gems of district 3271 and 3272. And my dear fellow Rotarians, ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you all the love that I can of all the people of India. It is strange, अगर उनसे एक पोल लिया जाए तो amongst the most loving countries अगर कोई होगा इंडिया के लिए, it will be Pakistan. And I am sure it is vice versa. मेरे को आज तक कभी समझ नहीं आया कि हमारे बीच में अगर बहुत ज़्यादा मोहब्बत नहीं है दोनों मुल्कों में, तो क्यों नहीं है? I can really not understand. लोगों में है. Some of my best friends are sitting in this front row here. And by the time I go, I tell you some of the best friends will also be sitting in the last row here. इकबाल से मुलाकात मेरी हुई थी अमन की आशा के प्रोग्राम के दौरान. He was in India, in Delhi. Iqbal and Irfan both were there, and so was Faiz. ये पहली मुलाकात में I started liking this person. He's a soft-spoken person, but I know he can get his things done. He was brought there by another friend of mine. भाई देखिए आप ये सारी ट्रेनिंग की जिम्मेदारी मुझ पर ठहरा दी है उसने, फैज़ ने, कि उसको जो भी ट्रेनिंग दी गई वो मैंने दी थी. ट्रेनिंग का मसला तो ऐसा है, एक one man saw that his child was growing up and he thought he's now 18, he needs to be told the ways of the world. So he called his son and said, my dear son, I need to discuss something with you. He said, what's it, Dad, that you want to discuss? He said, I wanted to discuss something about sex. He said, but Dad, I'm too busy now, we'll discuss in the evening. He said, okay. In the evening, when the dad was sitting around, the son came down after a shower. He came down, sat next to his father, put his arm around his father and said, yes, Dad, you wanted to discuss about sex? Tell me, what is it that you wish to know? अब फैज को मैं क्या ट्रेनिंग दूंगा जी? He is too good and he is doing some real good work. देखिए फाउंडेशन की ट्रेनिंग उसे ऐसी दी गई कि इस पूरे रीजन का रीजनल रोटरी फाउंडेशन कोऑर्डिनेटर फैज किदवई है, और एक और अजीज दोस्त मेरा बैठा है, नाम ही अजीज रख दिया है. कोई कुछ बोल ही नहीं सकता, अजीज ही होगा वो हर कोई के लिए. हर दिल अजीज. अजीज, थैंक यू फॉर ऑल दैट यू डू फॉर मी एंड फॉर राशि. You and Samina are wonderful people. Thank you so much. Waited for time. I am an Indian. I got my visa in less than 1 hour. You should know who to approach. Yes, friends, it did not take me even 1 hour and Aziza got the visa. Friends, that's what the beauty of Rotary is. You suddenly make friends of people you did not know earlier. And today I'm going to speak to you about, at the district conferences when I go, I feel a conference gives you an opportunity to look back at what you have done and plan what you wish to do. That's for the governor. गवर्नर को तो लगता है मेरा टेंशन खत्म हुआ. 3 दिन बाद इकबाल को पूछा मेरा टेंशन खत्म हो गया, उसे लगेगा टेंशन जलाल का शुरू हो जाएगा. वो मिस्टर शर्मा रात भर सो नहीं पा रहे थे, रात को 3-4 बज गए, सो नहीं रहे. तो मिस्टर शर्मा अचानक जगी, बोली क्या भाई तुम सो नहीं रहे हो? बोले बहुत टेंशन हो रहा है. बोला क्यों? बोला वो मिस्टर मिश्रा जो बगल वाले हैं पड़ोसी, उनको 5 लाख रुपए देने हैं और कल ही देने हैं, पर मेरे पास तो नहीं है. बोला दैट्स ऑल. उसने फ़ोन मिलाया मिस्टर मिश्रा को. 4-5 घंटे बाद जब फ़ोन उठाया, उन्होंने कहा मिस्टर मिश्रा. बोले जी हाँ बोलिए. बोले देखिए मैं मिस्टर शर्मा बोल रही हूँ, आपको जो 5 लाख देने थे ना रुपए कल सुबह, वो हम नहीं दे सकते. बोल के फ़ोन रख दिया. बोला अब तुम सो जाओ, टेंशन वो करेगा. तो इकबाल तुम्हें पता है ना क्या करना है अब 2 दिन बाद? जो करना है जलाल करेगा अब. But friends, what I am going to talk to you about today is, this is one day for each one of us. This is the largest gathering we have of Rotarians. Let's today ask a question to ourselves. Why am I a Rotarian? और इसका जवाब आज रात को सोचिएगा. Why are you a Rotarian? हर कोई हर अलग कारण से रोटेरियन है, या बना किसी और कारण से था और आज किसी दूसरे कारण से रोटेरियन है. Are you doing your bit as a Rotarian? Why are you a Rotarian? I'll give you my own story, and what I'm going to tell you are my own stories. This is what I have experienced, and I'm sure you'll be able to relate to it some way or the other. I joined Rotary when I was only 24 years old. Service was the last thing on my mind. I was born in all comforts of life. Like I say, my life was air conditioned. Ghar air conditioned, gaadi air conditioned, office jaun to office air conditioned, best school, everything, played every game on earth possible, had a great life. दर्द क्या होता है, दूसरे की प्रॉब्लम क्या है, मुझे छू के नहीं गई थी. How would I come to know what life in a basti was, or 50 kilometers away from Calcutta, what life of a villager was? I never knew. I joined Rotary only to make friends. Service came much later. One day, our club was having a program where we were fitting artificial limbs and we were giving crutches to people. We were giving tricycles so that they could ride it by their hands. हर कोई के जिम्मे एक एक काम दिया गया था. मेरी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी थी, आई हैव टू चेक वेदर उस बंदे के हाथ में इतना दम है क्या कि वो ट्राइसाइकिल को चला पाएगा. So how would I do it? I would hold the hand of this fellow and ask him to pull my hand. When he pulled his hand, I would know how much strength that person had in his hand. I said, okay. So the first person came in. He stretched out his hand and so did I. Oh God, but I didn't want to touch his hand. They were soiled hands because he came crawling on his legs and his hands. I didn't want to touch his hand, but I had no option. Meri zimmedari yahi thi, that was my duty, and I grudgingly held the hand. The second hand, I tell you friends, was worse. The third or the fourth one was of a leper, and I had no option but to hold those hands. But friends, by the fifth or sixth hand, the difference between them and me had gone. That day probably a member of Rotary Club had become a Rotarian. Friends, each one of us gets an opportunity like that. We are all of us in Rotary because I feel Rotary is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for friendship, for leadership, for using your own vocation for the help of others. It is an opportunity of service. It's an opportunity of giving. And it's an opportunity of bringing peace into this world. Let me move through a little faster because we are running short of time. Friendship, that's what I joined Rotary for, and that's what these friends are. I say, मेरे दुख और सुख के समय में अगर मेरे पास 10 बंदे खड़े हैं, I promise you उसमें से 9 तो रोटेरियन जरूर होंगे, और वो जो एक नहीं है ना, उसे रोटेरियन बना के छोड़ेंगे. That's what Rotary is. You may not meet your best friend every week, but your Rotary Club member, you meet him every week. 50 times a year you are meeting him. दोस्ती तो रहेगी, and lifetime दोस्ती रहेगी. Friends, I'm so happy and fortunate that आज अगर Atlas खोल के मैं कहीं भी finger रख दूं, in the map I know there is a friend of mine. I'm sure it's for so many. Faiz Kidwai, I don't know पूरे world की बात मैं नहीं कहूँगा, लेकिन अफगानिस्तान से हांगकांग के बीच में फैज का भी यही हाल है, वो जहां उंगली रख दे उसका एक दोस्त जरूर है वहां. Same thing is with Aziz and so many others here. Friends, that's what Rotary gives us. Amazing friendship. Let's go out. ये ध्यान रखें कि अगली बार मीटिंग में जाएं, नया बंदा जो ज्वाइन किया है, सबसे पहले हाथ उसी का पकड़ें. Let's shake hands with him. I have joined Rotary for friendship, and even today, friendship gives me great kick out of Rotary. Rotary is my opportunity of friendship. Rotary, friends, is also my opportunity of leadership. But for Rotary, I would not be standing in front of nearly 1,000 people and speaking from here. हम जब स्कूल में इंग्लिश पढ़ते थे तो हमको ये लगता था हमको बंगला में सिखाई जा रही है इंग्लिश. इंग्लिश भी हिंदी में सिखाई जा रही है. We used to think in Hindi, talk in English. Quickly translate. That's how most people do. सामने किसी के बोलने में लड़खड़ाहट होती थी. Each one of you, I'll tell you, 90% of our presidents of Rotary clubs, ask them to put up their hand and they will say they have not been presidents or secretaries of any other organization, but they have been of Rotary. Why? Because Rotary gives extraordinary opportunities even to ordinary people. When I became the governor, I was only 38 years old. I wasn't the brightest guy in our district. I wasn't the wealthiest. I wasn't the most influential guy in our district. And yet, when I entered the Rotary Club of Calcutta, which is the who's who of Rotary in India, कौन सा industrialist या big shot उस club का member नहीं, when I entered, they all gave me the respect that probably would have been deserved by my father and not by me. Why? Only because of Rotary. An extraordinary opportunity to an ordinary man. I'm sure so many of us get it. Don't ever say no to any opportunity in Rotary. 25 साल से 27 साल से मुझे याद नहीं मैंने रोटरी में किसी भी काम के लिए कभी ना बोला होगा. Why? Because that's my leadership opportunity. That is also my voluntary opportunity. मैं volunteer हूँ. Volunteer का काम क्या है? मैं करना चाहता हूँ. तो मैं ना कैसे बोल सकता हूँ? मुझे किसी ने काम कहा मैं बोलूँ जी मैं करूँगा नहीं, तो मैं volunteer कैसा? If I am a volunteer, I have to always say yes, I am ready to do it. So friends, that is what I have always believed. Let's not say no to anything in Rotary. करना है, इसे जरूर. Rotary, my friends, is a great opportunity for me to be able to use my vocation to be of help to other people. My friend Dr. Bose has come with me here. He's a cardiac surgeon. His profession is saving the lives of people. But I am a builder. How do I save lives of people? Much as I would like to. Dr. Bose हर दिन कितने लोगों की जान बचाते हैं, और यहाँ से पता नहीं कितने पाकिस्तानी बच्चे गए हैं जिनकी उन्होंने जान बचाई है और एक पैसा भी नहीं लिया है. And you can give a big round of applause to him. Satyajit, as I call him, that applause was only for one child. ऐसे 150 applause आपके लिए, because 150 सर्जरीज इन्होंने इस लास्ट एक साल में हमारे लिए करी है. Thank you so much, Satyajit. So he gets an opportunity of doing service, using his vocation to help other people. But each one of us, one time or the other, get an opportunity of using your own vocation to be of help to other people. I got one. Tsunami had struck Andaman Nicobar Islands, and we got an opportunity कि वहाँ पर एक rebuild करना था एक island को. उस island पे पहुँचने के लिए, it was a God-forsaken island. You could not go and live one night there because there was no electricity, no water, nothing. And yet we decided to build 500 homes for the people there. Homes, why? Because I'm a builder. I thought, यार ये एक मौका है, मुझे घर बना के देने हैं इन लोगों के लिए. And friends, we made those houses, and I still cannot forget that sight when on the day of delivery, the Lieutenant Governor, me, and a few other people, we were all in the helicopter. And as the helicopter was encircling that Hut Bay Island, I saw a glimmer absolutely coming up. These were those 500 homes. They were shining. Friends, these were the worst homes I had ever made. टिन की छतें थी उनकी, और टिन की ही दीवारें थी उनकी. Worst homes, worst design homes. But those which gave me far greater satisfaction than all the beautiful buildings that I had made. That's when I thought I have been able to use my vocation of helping others. How? Because of Rotary. Rotary is my opportunity of helping other people by my vocation. Go back. Think today. Have you used your vocation to be of help to somebody else? If not, today is the day. Let's start it now. Friends, most of all, Rotary is my opportunity of service to mankind. As I said, join किया था fellowship के लिए, but today it is service which gives me the greatest kick in Rotary. To me, service is the rent I pay. Service is the rent I pay for the space I occupy on this earth. And I want to be a good tenant of Mother Earth. So, my motto is service above self. सारी जिंदगी हम सिर्फ लेते ही हैं, हमें मिलता ही है दूसरों से. Rotary gives me an opportunity of being able to give back something to the community. Vivekananda, one of the greatest sages from thinkers, philosophers from India, he said, when you are helping the other person, do not think you are obliging that person. You are getting obliged. कि तुम्हें एक मौका मिला है of being help to somebody else. He says in life, always take the position of the donor. And जब donation करो तो ऐसे करो कि the donor will kneel down and ask, may I donate? I think that is one of the best forms of serving other people. Service, my friends, is when I'm ready to think about other people before I think of myself. When I'm caring for other people. When I'm ready to share what I have with other people. Gandhi was once getting up on the train and the train started. वो चप्पल पहनते थे, उनकी एक चप्पल गिर गई. His immediate reaction was कि वो ट्रेन चल पड़ी थी, उन्होंने दूसरी चप्पल निकाल के उधर फेंक दी. तो उनके दोस्त ने पूछा, भाई ये क्या किया, चप्पल क्यों फेंक दी? उसने कहा, वो जो एक गिरी है वो किसी को मिलेगी तो सही, पर काम नहीं आएगी. मैं दूसरी भी दे दूं, उसके काम तो आ जाएगी काम से. Thinking about other people before you think of yourself. A small act of service. एक चप्पल, हवाई चप्पल, क्या फर्क पड़ता है, दिया ना दिया. But a big attitude. Am I ready to think that way? Rotary gives me an opportunity to do that. There was this young boy, he came in a flashy Ferrari car one day. दोस्तों ने रोका, hey, तुमको गाड़ी कैसे मिली? Well, it's my birthday, my brother gave it. One friend said, oh, I wish it was my birthday. The next said, I wish I had a car like that. The third said, I wish I had a brother like yours. But the fourth said, I wish I was like your brother. Soch, it's all a matter of thinking. Am I wanting in life or am I wanting to give back in life? Friends, amazing opportunity we get because of Rotary. We are at the brink of eradicating a disease from the face of the earth. Come to think of it, आज 2 minutes सोचिएगा what we are achieving. It's not your and my role to remove a disease from the face of earth. It's the job of WHO. It's the job of the governments. But 2 साल पहले सॉल्ट लेक कन्वेंशन में WHO की हेड वहां पर पोडियम पे जाके बोलती है, but for Rotary, we would not have been able to do it for another 20 years. And what have we done? In 1985, 350,000 children were dying every year. This year, less than 600 children have died. Which means what? Over the last 25 years, we have saved nearly 30 lakh children from dying and double the number from getting crippled. Friends, that's as good as stopping a world war. That's the number of people who die in a world war. And you and I have been able to do it. बस वो जो जरा सा बच गया है, वो आप सबको करना है. And let me tell you, if there is one person who is directly responsible, I am your director, this falls into my area, and I'm directly responsible for it. और मेरे से भी ज़्यादा Aziz Memon, because he is the chairman for this. Aziz, this year, if India can do it, Pakistan definitely can do it. All my friends from the western portion of Pakistan, can you raise your hands? पश्चिम की साइड से हैं. Is that Baluchistan probably? More than anybody else, ये आप सबकी जिम्मेदारी है कि पोलियो इस साल हमें खत्म करना है. If we can finish it in Pakistan, friends, we will finish it in the world. 3 more countries only. 4 थे, इंडिया तो हटा दिया है WHO ने एंडेमिक लिस्ट से. 3 बच गए हैं, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Pakistan, Afghanistan probably will happen at one go only. What will be left probably is Nigeria, and we are working hard for Nigeria too. Friends, let us have this opportunity. This is your and my opportunity. One time you will ever get. अपने दोस्तों से किसी से पूछना जो रोटरी का मेंबर नहीं है, उससे पूछना तुमने ऐसा कोई काम किया है जो कि तुम कह सको कि हमने इतिहास लिख दिया, where you have written history that people will not get one more disease. This is the only second vaccine preventable disease ever to be eradicated. Smallpox and now polio. It's a huge thing. Let's do it. I can do it because I am a Rotarian. And because of this, I am a Rotarian. Friends, I am a Rotarian because Rotary tells me to give. I am fortunate और हम सब किस्मत वाले हैं कि हमारे हाथ लाइफ में ऐसे हैं, ऐसे नहीं. खुदा न करे किसी दिन हाथ ऐसे हो तो उससे ज़्यादा जिल्लत का दिन नहीं हो सकेगा शायद. But there are millions who have their hands like this. Friends, your and my opportunity to go and help them today. And that's what Rotary teaches us. It has taught to be able to give. Various ways of giving. Give your time, energy, give your resources. There is Larry. Larry के वो जो एक मेजर डोनर बनते हैं तो एक डायमंड लगता है. Larry के पिन में डायमंड लगने की अब जगह नहीं बच गई है, ये हाल है. Can we give a big round of applause to Larry for all the contributions that he has given? Friends, Rotary gives you and me an opportunity to be able to help somebody else. और दोस्तों, मैं हमेशा कहता हूँ कि हम कितना भी कुछ अपने लिए करने लगें, ultimately we want to do for others. I'll give you 2 examples. Bill Gates, the richest and I would say one of the smartest men on the earth. 10 साल तक he remains the richest man on the earth. Not an easy job for anybody to do. What does he do at the age of 54? He steps down from Microsoft and he writes 5 years later that when I look back in life, I find I wasted my years every day getting up to see whether the world was using the browser of Microsoft or not. What today I am doing in eradicating polio and other diseases from this world is far more enriching to me than what I was doing when I was working for Microsoft. दोस्तों, तारीख गवाह रहेगी. आज से 20 साल बाद लोग बिल गेट्स को माइक्रोसॉफ्ट के लिए नहीं, लेकिन उसके ह्यूमैनिटेरियन कामों के लिए उसको याद रखेंगे. सो व्हाट आई कॉल दिस द कर्व ऑफ गिविंग. आदमी जिंदगी में खुद के लिए कमाता है और फिर देने लग जाता है. बिल गेट्स का कर्व 52 साल की उम्र पे आया. वॉरेन बुफे, द सेकंड रिचेस्ट मैन, एट द एज ऑफ 75 प्लस, ही सेड मेरे पास $1.5 लाख है, $1.5 लाख है. आप तो जीरो भी नहीं लगा पाएंगे, मैं तो नहीं लगा सकता. एंड उसने कहा आई विल ओनली गिव 10% टू माई सन, रेस्ट 1,35,000 crores go to Bill and Melinda Gates for giving away for charity. 75 साल तक कर्व चलता रहा खुद के लिए और उसके बाद दूसरे के लिए. बिल गेट्स का 52 साल में. आपका कर्व कब आ रहा है? It is you who has to decide. And friends, it is because of Rotary, because of the opportunity that I get of giving, that I am a Rotarian. सिर्फ आपको एक बात बता दूं, हम कई लोग सोचते हैं कि बचा के रख लें, तो दोस्तों ऐसा है कि कस्टम्स बहुत कड़ा है, कुछ ले जाने नहीं देगा, सब यहीं छोड़ के जाने होगा. ट्राई करिए कभी किसी ने. जिंदगी भर बटोरता रहा हीरे मोती, खबर न थी कि कफन में जेब नहीं होती. ले दोनों हाथों से रहे हो, एक हाथ से तो देना भी शुरू कर दें हम. फ्रेंड्स, आई नो वी आर पुशिंग फॉर टाइम, बट लेट मी टेल यू दिस वन इज इम्पोर्टेंट. एक बंदा, एक भिखारी गया एक सेठ की दुकान पर, सुबह सुबह पहुंच गया कि ज़रा 20 रुपए दे दीजिएगा. तो उसने कहा सुबह बोहनी का समय, अभी टाइम वेस्ट मत करो, अभी नहीं, जाओ जाओ जाओ. वो 2 घंटे बाद आया, जी वो 20 रुपए. बोला कुछ नहीं, 20 रुपए यहाँ पर नहीं चले. 2 घंटे बाद फिर आया, बोला जरा सा गेहूं दे देंगे. बोला नहीं 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 मिलेगा. शाम के 4 बज गए, बोला 1 गिलास पानी मिलेगी? बोला क्या प्याऊ खोल रखा है, हम पानी पिलाएंगे तुम्हारे को, जाओ यहाँ से। शटर बंद कर रहा था दुकानदार कि इतने में वो भिखारी बोला, अच्छा एक काम करो, 1 मुट्ठी रेत दे दो मुझे। रेत आप समझते होंगे, रेत दे दो। तो उसने कहा यार क्या, चलो उठा के रेत उसने दे दी। रेत दी तो उसने कहा कि तुम्हें रेत मिली, लेकिन तुम्हें क्या फायदा हुआ? बोला जी मुझे कोई फायदा हुआ ना हुआ, आपको जिंदगी में कुछ देने की आदत तो पड़ी। हम सबको देने की आदत पड़ रही है बिकॉज ऑफ रोटरी। एंड फ्रेंड्स, लास्टली I feel I am a Rotarian because I feel I can make a direct contribution to peace in this world. Somebody may say, oh, big talk, these people will bring peace into this world. Friends, it is such people only who will bring peace in this world. You and I will never opt for war. We may not be able to stop wars. That is political decision. But tell me, a world without war, is it a world at peace? When millions do not have a roof above their head, is it a world at peace? When hundreds of thousands are not sure whether they're going to get their dinner tonight, is that a world at peace? When there are so many diseases, when there is still discrimination amongst people, and race, and caste, and tribe, and religion, is it a world at peace? It is not. Friends, वो जो कलकत्ते में एक फुटपाथ पे वो लेडी सो रही है, जिसकी 3 बेटियां हैं, हस्बैंड छोड़ के चला गया है, एक ही कंबल है जो चारों जन ओढ़ते हैं, वो सर्दी है, बरसात है, गर्मी है, वो एक ही कंबल है उसके पास ओढ़ने की। गो एंड आस्क हर व्हाट पीस इज। टू हर इट डजंट मेक अ डिफरेंस व्हिच कंट्री इज फाइटिंग विद whom. टू हर पीस इज इन दैट पीस ऑफ ब्रेड दैट यू विल बी रेडी टू गिव टू हर। दैट इज व्हाट यू एंड आई आर डूइंग। जब एक 80 साल की औरत के जब आंखें हम वापस दे देते हैं बिकॉज ऑफ कैटरैक्ट ऑपरेशन, एंड शी कैन सी हर ग्रैंड चाइल्ड फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम इन लाइफ, that is what peace is. When a man who lost both his legs and the dignity in life because he cannot work for his earning the bread in his family, you put 2 legs with just 2,000 rupees and he takes his first steps walking once again in life. Ask that man and he'll say, I am peaceful today. When you eradicate a disease from this face of the earth, that's when you are bringing peace. Every day, friends, Rotarians are doing one act of peace, each one of them. 1.2 million acts of peace every day are being done. What else is this Aman Ki Asha program? डॉक्टर बोस को क्या जरूरत पड़ी है कि पाकिस्तान से एक बच्चा क्वेटा से आ रहा है और उसकी सर्जरी वो वहां पे कर रहे हैं फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट, whereas he could have made at least 2 lakh rupees on that one surgery. Dr. Devi Shetty is doing it. There are 10 other hospitals who are doing it in India. And मुझे क्या जरूरत पड़ी है कि मेरा हर दिन 365 दिन शुरुआत होती है, मैं ऑफिस में घुसता हूं और वहां पर 1 या 2 बच्चे मेरे सोफे के ऊपर में वहां बैठे रहते हैं रिसेप्शन पे, जिनकी सर्जरी आज डिसाइड होने वाली है। फ्रेंड्स, वी आर ब्लेस्ड दैट वी कैन ब्रिंग पीस इनटू दीज पीपल्स लाइव्स। हम पता नहीं क्यों इस जहां को हिस्सों में बांटते हैं, बांटने के बाद उसे अपना रखना चाहते हैं, लेकिन ऐसा ही अगर है तो लेट मी एंड विथ व्हाट जॉन लेनन हैड सेड. I don't exactly remember the lyrics, but they are something like this. The song was Imagine, and John Lennon said, imagine there are no countries, nothing to die or kill for. Imagine there are no countries, nothing to kill or die for, no religion too. It isn't hard to do, a brotherhood of mankind. Imagine all the people living in the world as one. You may say, I am a dreamer, but I am not the only one. One day, you too will join me, and the world will live as one. दोस्तों, peace is possible. And it is possible because of people like you and me. And finally, what is Rotary? किसी की मुस्कुराहटों पे हो निसार, किसी का दर्द मिल सके तो ले उधार, किसी के वास्ते हो तेरे दिल में प्यार, जीना इसी का नाम है, और दोस्तों रोटरी भी इसी का नाम है. थैंक यू.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let me start with welcoming Rotary International Director Shekhar Mehta Sahab, President's Representative Chris Rajendran, District Governor Iqbal Qureshi, Chairman Faiz Kidwai, past and present officials of the Rotary International, Rotarians, distinguished guests from Pakistan, India and Sri Lanka, ladies and gentlemen, अस्सलाम वालेकुम, गुड इवनिंग, नमस्कार, वणक्कम, व्हाटएवर। मैं कतई नहीं चाहता था कि शेखर मेहता साहब अपनी तकरीर ख़त्म करें, और इसके बाद मैं तकरीर करना चाहता नहीं था। वेरी इम्प्रेसिव, हार्ट वार्मिंग, और यकीनन ये दिल से ही बातें कर रहा है, और शायद दिल से बातें करना रोटरी सिखाती है। ये और बात है कि इकबाल कुरैशी भी मेरा पुराना दोस्त है, और अजीज़ मेमन भी मेरा अजीज़ है। इनसे मैं बाद में लड़ लूँगा कि इन्होंने मुझे पहले इतनी सारी बातें क्यों नहीं बताई कि मैं भी रोटेरियन बन जाता। तो क्या मैं बन सकता हूँ? अभी भी किसी ने कुछ नहीं कहा, बट एनीवे, शुक्र है अजीज़ मेमन साहब ने मुझे बुला तो लिया कि यहाँ मैं आता, और इतने सारे दोस्तों से मुलाकात होती, इतने सारे वो खैर ख्वाह जो अपनी ज़िंदगी के साथ भी खैर ख्वाह हैं तो दूसरों के साथ भी खैर ख्वाह हैं, उनके साथ मुलाकात हो सकी। और मोटो जिसका है कि सर्विस अबाउट सेल्फ, तो यकीनी तौर पर इससे ज़्यादा बड़ी क्या इंसानियत की खिदमत हो सकती है कि खुद को भूलो और दूसरे को याद रखो। तो आई एम श्योर दिस इज़ वन हाई मॉरल ग्राउंड issue, and the nation has to do something about it. People have to feel something about it, and that is how you live with respect and love from others. Do it for others. ऐसे शायर और शायरी तो आपने भी बता दी, और मुझे इतनी नहीं आती, और आप लकी हैं कि आप रोटेरियन हैं, और रोटेरियन होने के साथ साथ आप इतना अच्छा बोलते हैं कि इंस्पायर करते हैं। उस लेडी को भी इंस्पायर कर लिया, मुझे तो शुरू में उठते ही आपने ढेर कर दिया। और फिर आप लकी भी हैं कि आप बैरियर्स को भी नहीं मानते और आगे बढ़ जाते हैं। हमें आगे बढ़ना जरूर है। हमने छोटी मोटी कोशिशें की होंगी, हमने वीजा के प्रॉब्लम्स हल कराने का भी शायद सोचा हो। कभी हम सार्क बना लेते हैं, कभी हम कॉमनवेल्थ बना लेते हैं, कभी हम यूरोपियन यूनियन बना लेते हैं, कभी यूनाइटेड नेशंस भी है। लेकिन अभी वो सारी चीजें जो दुनिया को यूनाइटेड कर दें, उसके लिए हो सकता है टाइम लगे। लेकिन इफ यू हैव दिस थिंग इन माइंड, इंटेंशंस, गुड इंटेंशंस ऑफ ब्रिंगिंग द नेशंस टुगेदर, आई एम श्योर देयर विल बी अ टाइम व्हेन वी विल ऑल बी एबल टू डू इट, एंड वी डू इट फॉर द बेटर ऑफ द पीपल, एंड वी डू इट फॉर द अंडर प्रिविलेज्ड, we do it for people who deserve more, who do it people who are deprived. और जाहिर है जब आपके पास क्या कुछ नहीं है, तो फिर ये तो मजहब भी सिखाता है, और मजहब ने भी ये कहा है कि भाई अपने से पहले अगर हमसाये के पेट का ख्याल रखो, अगर उससे पूछ लो कि तुमने कुछ खाना खाया है, अगर तुम पहले उसको खिला दो, ये यकीनी तौर पर अजर के तौर पर महसूस किया जाता है। You serve the neighbor first and then eat is what the humanity is all about. And this is where सारी चीज़ों का हल तो निकलता है कि अपने पास कितना लेके जाओगे। लेके तो कुछ नहीं जाता है। वेरी वेल से कि कब्र में जेब नहीं होती, यकीनन जाते हैं तो सिर्फ कपड़ा होता है, तन ढका हुआ होता है, सिला हुआ भी नहीं होता, और फिर कुछ नहीं ले जाते। जाएगा जब यहाँ से कुछ भी न पास होगा, 2 गज जमीन कफन का टुकड़ा तेरा लिबास होगा। ये सारी चीजें तो हम सबको पता है, बट टिल यू आर लिविंग इन दिस वर्ल्ड, समटाइम यू फॉरगेट व्हाट यू शुड बी डूइंग। उसने बनाया कि तुम्हें नेमत देता हूँ, और पता नहीं किसने कितनी भी दुनिया में अजूबे भी बनाने के लिए हमें ऑर्डर दे दी। कभी ताजमहल, कभी पिज्जा, टावरिंग पिज्जा, और कभी क्या, कभी कुछ पिरामिड बना लेते हैं, सब कुछ बना लेते हैं। लेकिन सबसे बड़ा अजूबा तो इंसान खुद है। वो इंसान जो टच कर सकता है, जो देख सकता है, जो सुन सकता है, जो हंस सकता है, जो सोच सकता है, जो प्यार कर सकता है, जो केयर कर सकता है, जो शेयर कर सकता है, ये तो आपके अंदर है स्टोर हाउस। और ये अंदर का स्टोर हाउस जब आपको बाहर निकलता है तो इससे बड़ा अजूबा क्या है। और स्टोर हाउस के अंदर है सब कुछ, आप फील कर सकते हो। तो फिर तो मजा तो यही है कि जब आप ये दो, किसी और को और के साथ शेयर करो, किसी और के साथ केयर करो। अब यकीनन मैं भी रोटेरियन की तरह ही बोलने लगा हूँ। इरफान कुरैशी भी हंस रहा है मुझ पर। ये भी मेरा दोस्त है, इकबाल का छोटा है कि बड़ा भाई है, लेकिन इसने भी कभी नहीं कहा कि रोटेरियन। हाँ, बड़ा है, दिखने में दिखने में छोटा दिखाई देता है, वैसे होगा बड़ा। लेकिन एनीवे, आपने इस स्पिरिट के साथ रहना मुनासिब समझा है, और हम भी आप सबके आभारी हैं, हम भी शुक्रगुजार हैं। आप तरह से आपने इस रोटरी क्लब ने हर उस मुश्किल मरहले पर हमारी मदद की है, इस मुल्क की मदद की है, इस मुल्क की मदद की, चाहे वो अर्थक्वेक हों सवात के, या अर्थक्वेक हो कश्मीर के, या फ्लड्स हों सिंध के, या बारिशें हों, या कुछ भी हों, हमारी डेप्रिवेशंस यकीनी तौर पर बहुत इमेंस तौर पर रही है। हमारे मुल्क की इकोनॉमिक कंडीशंस भी यकीनी तौर पर एक सोचने पे मजबूर करती हैं। Yes, we can't claim that, we are such a progressive country or we're such a developed country. We are having our problems. We are, we are sometime in trouble. Yes, debt servicing and so on and so forth, thinking about all these things that we have to undergo. Yes, we are struggling. Yes, like many other countries, yes, we are struggling. But anyway, in the times of struggle, your help cannot be ignored. Your help as for those deprived people. I mean, what can I say? A small thing. People living in the rural areas have to travel miles to get some water, clean drinking water. Why can't I thank the Rotary for providing those storages, for those water tanks that they can have the water at their doorsteps? Yes, life becomes better. There is, what you said, is peace. When you provide certain things, some comfort to the others. Yes, there are places here in Karachi where myself have gone through those artificial limbs I have provided, that center has provided those artificial limbs. People can walk on their own feet and not be ashamed of it. To be self-reliant, to be self-dependent. I mean, ये बातें जो है वो चाहे पोलियो की वजह से हुई हों या किसी और एक्सीडेंट्स की वजह से हुई हों, but a human being has to be looked up to. हम तो यकीनी तौर पर उसको अशरफुल मखलूकात का लक़ब देते हैं और फिर उसको हैंडीकैप्ड अगर देखेंगे तो यकीनन सोचना पड़ता है कि क्या हम शेयर नहीं कर सकते। तो यकीनन ये सारी वो चीज़ें हैं जो आप करते रहें और इसके लिए सारी दुनिया मानती है आपको। तो हमें कोई पढ़ाने वाला नहीं था, हमें कोई सिखाने वाला नहीं था, इसलिए हमने सोचा चलो जी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी में आ जाते हैं। और पॉलिटिकल पार्टी भी हम बरादरी समझते हैं। पॉलिटिकल पार्टी का कभी कोई किसी के घर पे झंडा देखते हैं तो दरवाजे पर दस्तखत देते हुए घबराते नहीं हैं। कभी कभी हम अजीजों के खिलाफ भी चले जाते हैं, लेकिन पार्टी के साथ खड़े होकर आगे बढ़ने की कोशिश करते हैं। और अगर उनके नुमाइंदा होने की कोशिश करते हैं तो थैंक्स टू द लेडी, शी सेड आई एम वन ऑफ दोज सो मेनी who are liked by people. Anyway, I hope to continue with that. But anyway, come to think of it, Pakistan has a problem. Polio. Polio is one disease which deforms the body. I remember the times when our great leader, Benazir Bhutto, way back in 1988, started this kind of a campaign by administrating polio drops to the children. Maybe so many people didn't know about it. Maybe so many people were sort of, not aware of it. पाकिस्तान में कभी किसी ज़माने में स्मॉल पॉक्स के लिहाज से एक मुहिम चली थी कि जिसमें स्मॉल पॉक्स से पाकिस्तान को इरेडिकेट किया गया था, लेकिन कभी मीजल्स आ जाती हैं, कभी कुछ आ जाता है। पोलियो के लिए अभी तक हम उस तरह से नहीं कह सकते। शायद दुनिया में सारे मुल्कों ने अपने आप को तो बचा लिया है, शायद पाकिस्तान है, शायद अफगानिस्तान है, शायद नाइजीरिया है, शायद ये 3 ममालिक हैं जहां अभी पोलियो पर कंट्रोल नहीं किया जा सका। Look at India, look at China. More than 1 billion people living there and not a case reported for 1 year, over the years. This is alarming as far as Pakistan is concerned, as for the other countries are concerned. If there are any still facing polio problems, yes, it is time to wake up. It is time to wake up and help the nation, help the humanity. यहाँ हमें पता है कि यहाँ गवर्नमेंट के at top level इसका नोटिस जरूर लिया जाता रहा है, but it needs the commitment of the nation to eradicate this. It is the manpower employed who has to reach out to people, who has to reach out to the children and not be afraid and not be irritated of not finding the parent there, not finding the child there and coming back and just giving it up. No, it has to be a constant effort, and I'm sure, I hope Pakistan, having realized the enormity of this problem, will do utmost so that we can also say that Pakistan was able to eradicate polio and no case was further reported. I know government sector, public sector is never enough. Government sector can also fall short of expectations. Having the problems of economic, yes, a need help of organizations, help of friendly countries, help of all those world forums are needed to tackle this thing. And I'm sure Rotary has played a great part in that. Rotary has also contributed a lot to the polio eradication in Pakistan. And this Aziz Memon has now this cell phone having the same, what is it called? वो जो सिग्नल आता है ना जी, रिंगटोन पे उन्होंने पोलियो के बारे में लगा दिया है। तो ये रिंगटोन भी अगर हम सबको रिमाइंड करता रहेगा तो यकीनन हम भी आगे बढ़ पाएंगे और शायद कुछ कर पाएंगे। एक दफ़ा मैंने इनको फ़ोन किया तो ये शुरू हो गया गाना, ठीक है, अच्छी बात है। और फिर मैंने अभी तक नहीं लगाया अपने सेल फोन पे ये रिंगटोन, लेकिन कोशिश करूँगा कि इसी तरह के इनके साथ फुटस्टेप में चल के कुछ करने की कोशिश करूँ। यकीनन सर, मैं आपका ज़्यादा वक्त नहीं लेना चाहता, मैं सिर्फ ये बात कहना चाहता हूँ कि आपकी मेहरबानी कि आपने मुझे याद किया, आपकी मेहरबानी कि मुझे सुनने का मौका मिला शेखर मेहता को। ये इतना परसुएडिंग टाइप है कि आप यकीनन इतने सारे लोगों को क्यों नहीं बना सकते होंगे मेंबर अपने अपने मुल्क में। हमें भी चाहिए होगा। आप जहाँ रोटरी को इतना लेक्चर दिया कि भाई आप हमारी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी को भी आके लेक्चर दें, हम और ज़्यादा बढ़ जाएंगे। और ये सारी चीज़ें इकबाल साहब, अजीज़ साहब ने मुझे उस दिन हुक्म दिया कि भाई आओ, और इसका हुक्म कभी टालता नहीं हूँ। और ये दोस्ती, ये अंडरस्टैंडिंग यकीनी तौर पर मुझे भी आपके बीच में बिठाने का मौका देती है। मैं इसका शुक्रगुजार हूँ और रोटरी को मुबारकबाद देता हूँ कि आपने ऐसे ऐसे दोस्त इकट्ठे कर लिए आपस में कि वो इंसानियत की खिदमत करना जानते हैं, उनके जिस्म में जज्बा है, और वो जज्बा ही है जो कहीं ना कहीं कामयाबी ज़रूर दिलाएगा। मैं आपके लिए वेल विशर हूँ, आपका वेल विशर हूँ, और उम्मीद करता हूँ कि रोटरी में मुझे आप मेंबरशिप दे देंगे। बहुत शुक्रिया।
You see, our chief guest, our governor, our acting governor, the speaker wants to be the member. So you all want to be him a member or not? Say yes. Why don't you call him on the stage?
He's the man behind the operations. He's the man who saves little lives. Thank you so much, Dr. Bose.
अवल अल्लाह अलीम आला आलिम जो धणी कादिर पांजी कुदरत सां आहे पाण कदीम। Assalamu alaikum, namaste, and a very good morning. My dear friends, the literacy is the very important subject of not only of the Pakistan, but of the South Asia, but also of the developing world. So today we will try to do our mind-boggling how we'll do the total literacy by 2017. My dear friends, in our district 3271, we are already working on the literacy on different kinds, like the informal education. Lot of the clubs in the district, they have started their programs since 90s doing the informal education and literate the adults who remain illiterate. And since then, almost more than 30,000 adults got literate through the Rotary program, which we call as a Jugnu program in adult literacy. And we have spent almost more than $100,000 on that program. Not only that, few clubs are working on the CLE, the new program introduced by the Rotary, and few countries have taken that as their government project. One of the club, like Rotary Club of Karachi Karsaz, is working on the CLE, and they have almost 12 to 15 schools, and more than 1,200 children are getting education from there. Few clubs are also trying to adopt the government schools to raise their efficacy and do the teachers training and refurbish the schools, do the parent-teacher meetings. And not only that, few clubs have their own Rotary schools. They have opened their Rotary schools. So today we have Rotarians and the friends of the Rotarians among us who will talk on the literacy and will tell us how can we reach the goal, total literacy, by 2017. Among them, one of our speaker will be Mr. Kamar Zama. Kamar Zama is the Federal Secretary, an old bureaucrat, and he is heading the Ministry of the Professional and Technology, Government of Pakistan. Today we also have an old Rotarian, past president, who is running a Rotary school in the remote areas of the Sindh, not a remote but a town of the Sindh, Sakhar, past president Sarwar Bhatti. Please come over here. And we are also having a past president whose club is working on the informal literacy, an old Rotarian by his own self, Rotarian Sayyid Mohsen Ali, from Rotary Club of Karachi South. And we have another Rotarian, past president, Khalid Shah, who will talk about the illiteracy, Khalid Shah sir, from Rotary Club of Karachi Temuria. And we have another friend, I hope he will join us in a while, Shahid Zaki. He is the head of the Aman Ki Asha, and I hope he will join us in meanwhile. Khalid Shah sir. My dear friends, on the March 1st to 3rd, we have a conference, Rotary International President's Conference on Literacy on Kathmandu, where the Rotarians from all the countries of the South Asia gathered there and make some recommendations how we'll get the total literacy by 2017. For that, to tell about that Kathmandu conference and about the recommendations, I will request our beloved Rotary International Director, Shekhar Mehta, to tell us about that conference.
Good morning, friends. कल रात को अगर इतना डांस कराओगे लोगों से और इतना बढ़िया प्रोग्राम रखोगे तो सुबह तो नहीं आ पाएंगे टाइम पे ना बेचारे. Friends, we met on 1st to 3rd of March. We were about 600 people assembled in Kathmandu for a conference on literacy. When we met there was no such goal that we had in mind. When we came out of there, everybody had a goal in their mind. And I think that is what conferences are meant for. They stir up your imagination, they churn your thoughts, and what comes out is the cream thereafter. The thought that came out from that conference, literacy conference, was that why not remove illiteracy from South Asia by 2017. A tall task, no wonder. But the success of polio eradication has allowed us to dream. We dreamt in 85 of eradicating polio. We are at the brink of realizing that dream. So why not think in terms of eradicating polio, eradicating illiteracy now by the year 2017. And the 5 countries who were represented there by eminent people, including Mr. Kamar Zaman, who was also there. And to none of these people it seemed that this was a dream which was not achievable, that this was not something that was achievable. But somebody will have to act as a catalyst, maybe refocus the thoughts. Government के पास 1000 agenda रहते हैं, and it's absolutely right. In fact, at times I'm surprised that the governments can work so hard for so long on one disease like polio. कभी कभी उनको ये भी लगता होगा कि मलेरिया के कारण तो हजारों मर रहे हैं, पोलियो के कारण तो सिर्फ 10-15 मर रहे हैं. They have to immediately take care of malaria. because there will be a public outcry and they can see people dying. So government has lots of responsibilities, but once in a while out of those responsibilities, we have to draw their attention to one or two of them, try to tackle one at a time, finish that, leave that behind us, and then progress to the next one. I think after polio, if we find there is poverty in this world, if we find that people are not able to exercise their rights that they have, the fact that there is not dignity enough given to the people, that people they do not know what their rights in this world are, I think most of it is because of illiteracy of the people. And illiteracy in South Asia, it's rampant. We have millions of children who do not go to school. Another few millions drop out even before they reach high school. What a world it would be, imagine if all of these people were literate. It is something, a dream really worthwhile for us to think of. At the Kathmandu conference, I had narrated a story, and that's something which touches my heart always. And to bring forth the issue of illiteracy, let me narrate the story once again. On 15th June 1987, my daughter was born. Chandni is her name. उसी दिन Calcutta से करीब 50 किलोमीटर दूर there was another girl who was born. Gauri is her name. My daughter has lived in the best comforts of her life. जैसा मैं कहता हूँ कि air conditioned life. She sleeps beautiful. आराम से सोती है एक air conditioned कमरे में. She has a nice duvet to cover her, tuck her absolutely. In the morning a maid comes and wakes her up slowly. 2-3 बार उठाती है maid तब जाके उठती है. She has a hot water bath. She has a sumptuous breakfast. She goes into a car which is driven by a chauffeur, air-conditioned car, jati hai school mein, which is more like a palace than a school. She finishes the day in the school, does some extracurricular activities, maybe goes for a game of tennis, or maybe for a swim in the club. In the evening she comes again to have an excellent dinner. Agar thoda padhna hai to theek hai. Nahi to she watches television and goes off to sleep. Gauri, on the other hand, gets up at 6 in the morning. She has to do all the chores of the home before she can even think of going off to school. She has to cook for her family because the mother is too ill and the father is a die-hard drunkard. 3 other sisters are all younger. The 5th is a brother who is the youngest. Gauri finishes all the work and by 8 o'clock she leaves for school. She walks for 8 kilometers through mud and slush, only to reach a place which is called a school. A black painted wall is the only blackboard she has ever seen. बरसात है या धूप है, छत नहीं है, वही उसकी स्कूल है. टीचर आए तो स्कूल, न आए तो बैठे रहो. She sits through that rain, sunshine, whatever it be, till the evening, and then she again walks back those 8 kilometers through mud and slush, comes back home again to cook. On the way, of course, she has to collect the wood for the fire that is needed for cooking, only to be beaten up in the evening by her drunkard father. रात को उसे पढ़ना होता है, घर में electricity नहीं है, but she still tries to manage and read. Imagine 2 girls born on the same day. What is the fault of Gauri? But if we feel that injustice is being done to Gauri, it is your and my responsibility to ensure that it is not done to the next generation. For the sake of the Gauris of this world, and specifically in South Asia, can we all together come and ensure that we will make every Gauri in this area literate by the year 2017. I have a photographic memory. जिन सब ने तालियां बजाई हैं, उन सबको काम करना पड़ेगा इसके लिए. याद में रखूंगा सबको कि आपने कहा था और तालियां बजाई हैं, मतलब you want to do this. Friends, at this conference, naturally a lot of thoughts, ideas had come up, and we divided the entire recommendations in 3 parts. Child development, school development, and total literacy through e-learning. Child development, I mean, what is the total horizon of literacy? If we try and divide that, we will find one is when you start caring just for the child itself. You may want to give scholarships. You may want to give them scholarships for further education, higher education. And when we say literacy, the idea is कि सिर्फ वो there are at times, governmental definition of literacy, which means कि अगर आप लिख पढ़ सकते हैं, सिर्फ 1-2 सेंटेंस लिख लिया आपने और अपना नाम आप लिख सकते हैं, पढ़ सकते हैं और साइन कर सकते हैं, that is literacy. I think it is beyond that. I don't know what the line between literacy and education is, but I think people need to be educated as well as literate. There may be some people who are educated who are erudite, even they may not necessarily be very, very literate. But I think what is important is आप लिख पढ़ भी सकें और आप सोच भी सकें. सोच education से और sharp और better हो जाएगी. So I think it's important that we look at even education. So child development, whatever is required for the child to develop, maybe some nourishment, maybe midday meals are required for the child because of the incentive that the child will get to go there. अगर वो एक ही बच्चा है उनकी फैमिली में and they have a huge farm and the father has to till the farm and he wants the son also to join, we cannot just say कि child labor से नहीं होगा. We will have to give compensation maybe to that farmer so that the child can go to school. These are some of the things that we'll have to think as far as child development is concerned. School development, मैंने आपको अभी स्कूल का एक definition दिया. It's not out of a fairy tale. Go 50 kilometers from Karachi if you have to, and you will find more than 10 such schools. I haven't been, but I'm sure all of South Asia is quite like that. Maybe with the exception of Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka has benchmarked us where we want to reach as far as literacy is concerned. 97%, 100% literacy, factually about 95% literacy. That's where we need to peg ourselves at. स्कूल डेवलपमेंट, हम अगर स्कूल जाके देखें तो बिल्डिंग नहीं है, बिल्डिंग है तो उसकी छत लीक कर रही है. अगर छत और बिल्डिंग दोनों हैं तो बेंचेस नहीं है. चिल्ड्रन आर स्टिल हैविंग टू सिट ऑन द फ्लोर. इन टुडेज एज एंड टाइम, लुक एट द कंफर्ट दैट वी हैव. पहले चेयर है, चेयर के नीचे हमारा कारपेट भी है. वहाँ बेचारों के पास ना चेयर है ना कारपेट है, फर्श पर ही बैठना पड़ता है. कैन वी थिंक ऑफ प्रोवाइडिंग बेंचेस टू देम? मे बी व्हाट 10 lakh benches in these 5 countries over the next 2-3 years time. छोटा टारगेट वो तो फिर दूसरे लोग ही कर लेंगे. इफ वी आर सिटिंग हियर एंड डिसाइडिंग लेट्स हैव टारगेट्स व्हिच आर रियली फार रीचिंग. हाउ अबाउट गिविंग कंप्यूटर्स टू ईच एंड एवरी स्कूल इन टुडेज एज एंड टाइम? यहाँ पर कल मैंने इन्हें पूछा कि इंटरनेट इज फ्री इन दी होटल. जैसे नहीं सर, इट्स चार्जेबल. मैं हमेशा बोलता हूँ प्लीज, इंटरनेट नाउ इज लाइक एयर, यू नो. एयर इज फ्री, सो शुड बी इंटरनेट. द एंटायर वर्ल्ड इज देयर विद यू इफ यू जस्ट हैव इंटरनेट. आज उन बच्चों को जरूरत है. मुझे ध्यान है मैं चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंसी का फाइनल एग्जाम दे रहा था. आई वाज probably 23 years old at that time. In Calcutta, I had to go to a university to see a computer. कंप्यूटर नहीं होते थे तब. यूनिवर्सिटी में जाना पड़ा मुझे देखने के लिए कि कंप्यूटर कैसा होता है. और आजकल चाइल्ड यू लीव, आई वाज विद NIIT पीपल, नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी इंडिया में. उन्होंने कहा कि हमने एक विलेज में एक्सपेरिमेंट करने के लिए एक कंप्यूटर छोड़ दिया विद इंटरनेट कनेक्शन. And just you could see the screen and the mouse there. Nobody knew anything about computer in that village, and he said we were amazed to see the results that the younger people would come and in just first day itself they would start browsing on their own. आप अगर कभी देखें, I'll give you the best possible example, is try and play a video game or a computer game on your iPad. Try and play a game and then give it to your son to play the game, and then give it to your grandson to play the game. Your grandson will beat you and your son both hollow absolutely. आपको लगेगा ये 5 साल का बच्चा क्या गाड़ी चला सकता है, मैं बेहतर गाड़ी चला सकता हूँ. It happened with my son. He was doing this car racing and I said तुम हटो हटो, क्या तुम गाड़ी चलाओगे, I'll show you how to drive. I mean, I couldn't reach even half where my son was reaching. That's because of their reflexes. That how adept they will be with computers. Can we provide computers to each and every child in every school? School, there are so many other things that we need to do. How about creating libraries? Children need to read. Libraries not only in the schools but in communities. I wonder how many, we don't have a habit of going and reading too much. We need to read. There are so many other things. I don't need to enumerate what all can be done as far as developing a good school is concerned. Schools have to become attractive for the children to come. माँ बाप मना कर रहे हैं लेकिन बच्चा जिद करे कि नहीं मुझे तो स्कूल जाना है, because school is an amazing place to go to. I think that's what are the sort of schools that we need to create. And then friends, we came up with something unique. I'm sure the others have thought, I wouldn't say necessarily unique, but a thing which is a dream sort of a thing, but it is probably achievable. We thought of coming out with something called an e-slate, or we'll call it the rota slate. आप iPad देखते हैं. I mean, I use the iPad and I think what is not there in an iPad? What, I mean, any of those tablets. A time has come, India was trying to make a tablet for only 1100 rupees. I'm sure if we really strike hard at it, and Kamar Zaman Sahib is Probably you are in the technology ministry. I'm sure you'll be able to throw much more light on this. There is a possibility that we will be able to make a slate which is, let's say, just 1,000 rupees. 1,000 Indian rupees, maybe it costs 2,000 rupees Pakistani, that's all right. 3 साल का हो बच्चा तो उसे एक स्लेट उसे मिलेगी, उसके अंदर में एक कार्ड लगा हुआ है, वो उसी का है, वो स्लेट को बेच नहीं सकता, दूसरा उस स्लेट को यूज नहीं कर सकता. इट्स योर पर्सनल ई स्लेट दैट यू गेट अप टू क्लास 5. उसके अंदर में एक करिकुलम डला हुआ है इन द लैंग्वेज दैट यू विश टू चूज, यू चूज द लैंग्वेज दैट यू विश टू, एंड देयर इज ट्यूटोरियल देयर. कभी एक बार अगर आप ट्राई करके देखेंगे, इट इज एन अमेजिंग वर्ल्ड ऑफ टीचिंग, डिस्टेंस लर्निंग, लर्निंग थ्रू द कंप्यूटर. मैं आपको कहूँ ये एप्पल है और एप्पल आपको मैं 10 तरह के एप्पल्स दिखाऊं, देयर इज अ डिफरेंस बिटवीन द टू. It's interactive studies that the children can do. You grow a little more, you start going to school, your library is in your e-slate itself. You don't need electricity, उसे चार्ज करने की ज़रूरत है. अगर आपके विलेज में नहीं है इलेक्ट्रिसिटी, ओके, 5 साल में हर विलेज में इलेक्ट्रिसिटी आ जाएगी. और अगर नहीं आ जाएगी, why not use solar lights? If required, the villages which don't have will put 20 poles where you can go and charge your computers. I don't know what obstacles will come, but we have to reach the target of 2017. Let me tell you, 500 people were there and they were buzzing with excitement कि yes, this is something that we will be able to achieve और हमें achieve करना है. Friends, I've always believed in what George Bernard Shaw said. He said, you see things as they are and ask why. You see things as they are and ask why. I dream of things that never were and ask why not. क्यों नहीं होगा? सोचने की बात है. It's a dream that we get total literacy by 2017. And Abdul Kalam, our past president of India, he said, a dream is not what you see when you sleep, but a dream is something that does not let you sleep. To my Pakistani friends, I'll first say, let's first touch zero polio and then start dreaming about zero illiteracy. Let's start discussing this with friends, with teachers, with the government people, with others. Very soon there's going to be a task force which is going to be formed, one representative from each of the countries, that will be the central task force, and each country thereafter will have committees. Those of you who are seriously interested in working for literacy, you can get in touch here in your district, in this district, with either Aziz Memon or Faiz Kidwai, both of who are very involved with that literacy program. So my friends, my suggestion to you is, let us start dreaming now of total illiteracy, total literacy, removing illiteracy from this world. कई बार आप कुछ कहेंगे, किसी से जिक्र करेंगे तो लोग हंसेंगे आप पर कि क्या बात कर रहे हैं. So let me end with this quote by Gandhi. He said, when you have dreams like this, first they will ignore you, then they will laugh at you, then they will fight with you, and then you will win. I'm sure we will win. Thank you.
Friends from Rotary Pakistan, Mr. Shekhar Mehta, Director, Rotary International, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. Indeed, it's a pleasure for me to be here this morning with you on a subject of great importance, particularly to our country, in particular, and South Asia. I would like to compliment Rotary District 3271 in organizing this meeting where one of the prime subjects is literacy for all. So quickly on the heels of the Rotary International Conference held at Kathmandu, Nepal, where you all Rotarians, under the very dynamic leadership of Mr. Banerjee, the President Rotary International, all resolved to follow the joint communique in which it was decided that South Asia will be declared 100% literate by 2017. I had the proud privilege of attending the Rotary conference at Nepal, and I was impressed with the resolve that was reached over there and the confidence that was exuding and brimming from the face of all those 500 plus Rotarians, which included Rotarians from all the South Asia region. And they were imbued with that spirit, and I now see that being displayed here in Karachi by Rotary Pakistan and the Rotary District 3271. I wish to congratulate you on taking upon this mantle so quickly after having reached this objective at Kathmandu. This only portrays that you are committed to the objective. You wish to follow it in the spirit that was observed at Nepal, and I'm sure with this leading role that Rotary Pakistan is now taking upon itself, I am only here to be with you and to assure you that government would be very happy, government would be absolutely forthcoming to help us all in making Pakistan literate by 2017. And I come to represent my ministry and the government of Pakistan, to whom I presented the report on my return from the South Asia meet, and I thought that we've been in the government also galvanized, because I received some very positive comments from my own hierarchy, and I am here today to tell you that this common objective is that we will all strive together and work to achieve it. Ladies and gentlemen, needless to emphasize that how important for us, we have admittedly a long way to go. We have to stride with great speed, and wherever we faltered in the past, we need to keep that in mind, because unless we know our previous pitfalls, we cannot really reconnoiter our way through by at least when we don't, so that at least we can avoid those pitfalls. Literacy is not only important from terms that you can just read a newspaper or write a letter, but I'm reminded of when one of the speakers in the Kathmandu conference gave that example of that imagine if there is a house full of literate people and a couple of illiterate people were to make their way into that hall, they will be overwhelmed, they'll not have the confidence to remain in that hall. They'll not have the capacity to face that kind of gathering. But if there was a hall full of illiterate people and only one illiterate person was to walk across into that hall, he will certainly still have that great confidence to be present in that gathering and talk to them and interact them with great amount of confidence. So that is the basic requirement, the basic faculty that provides you through literacy. The confidence, the self-esteem, the self-respect, and you connect each of these with the other virtues that accrue out of literacy. It then becomes a very wide open field. And here we have today a situation where 55 million plus Pakistanis are illiterate. And the unfortunate thing is that while literacy work is being done, but then the number of illiterates is getting added on because of the population which is growing so fast, and literacy is still not keeping pace with that. With the result, the number of illiterates is yet growing. When we have to move as a proud nation into the 21st century, we've already passed a decade into that, we have to seriously organize ourselves and get the thing moving. So it's with that resolve that I've come here today to assure you that government is willing to be a partner, government is wanting to be a partner with organizations like yourself, the Rotary, who have done a splendid example and a splendid work in the eradication of polio. Here again in Pakistan, we still have a lot of ground to cover on that score also. But certainly, I must say, now the awareness is there. And Rotary has done a great job in spreading that message to work against polio. And now that you've joined hands to spread the message of literacy, I'm sure good work will flow out of this. Ladies and gentlemen, my ministry, which is a new ministry, which has come about after the 18th constitutional amendment, through which our old commonly known names like the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Labor and Manpower, and such like other ministries, a total of 17 of them were devolved as a result of the 18th Amendment. That meant that the work of education, the work of primary to higher education, including the literacy, has gone into the lap of the provincial governments. But soon, a debate started as if it's really feasible and is it really practical to absolve the federal government of its responsibility for education in the country. Don't we need a platform where, if nothing more, at least all the federating units could be sitting and talking to each other? After we have added the Article 25A to the Constitution, how can the federal government absolve itself of the responsibility? Because Article 25A, which also was inserted in the Constitution by the 18th Amendment, says that it is the sacred responsibility of the state to provide compulsory and free education to children from 5 to 16 years of age. And that also came up concurrently when the ministries were being devolved. So the matter was taken up by the Supreme Court of Pakistan. And its landmark judgment, Supreme Court has decided that federal government will continue to play its role in terms of providing compulsory free education to all those who are required to be educated. And literacy is, of course, a very important component of education. While education may be much more, but literacy is at least one of the strong planks of this road towards education. So when that has come about, we are now very clear that the federal government has to play its role in terms of literacy, in achieving the Millennium Development Goals, and in providing the EFA goals, which means education for all. And it is a result of these brainstorming sessions that the new Ministry of Professional and Technical Training has been constituted, which I represent as its first secretary. And taking upon that responsibility, we in the ministry, led by our minister, Mr. Riaz Hussain Pirzada, a very eminent and a very honorable politician in his own right, but a person who has the qualities of head and heart, who has given us the direction and who is now leading us, that we will be available, we will be doing our bit, we will be available to all those wherever we are required, wherever we are demanded, and we will, inshallah, try and reach with you the goal of literacy for all Pakistan by 2017. Now with that, the federal government has therefore retained two institutions who are primarily going to be working on the subject of our today's discussions. The title of today's discussions, Literate Pakistan by 2017. And these two organizations retained by the federal government, one is the National Commission for Human Development, which has been declared the lead agency towards achieving total literacy. My colleague from the National Commission on Human Development, the Director Education, is here with me this morning, and after a short while, he will be making a detailed presentation regarding literacy in the country, the past, the present, and the future aspirations. And the second agency, which will also help us in meeting the EFA goals, which is education for all, is the National Education Foundation. Both these organizations, let me apprise you, go very far and wide in the country. The NCHD, over the period of its existence for the last almost 9 years, has done commendable work. They have reached the farthest corners of the country. They provide teachers for such government schools where there is a vacuum, where there is a gap, and the teachers are not there. The buildings may be there, the infrastructure may be there, but the teachers are not there. So around the country, they have about 7,000 teachers providing the manpower support to the existing efforts. And they have over about 4,000 schools established, the community schools, where there were no government buildings, where there were no government infrastructure. They set up ab initio over 4,000 such schools. So with this manpower support of over 12,000 teachers that the NCHD has at its disposal, and about 3,000 of the managerial staff that they have with them, I wish to lay before you that this is the setup which is going to be available to you members of the Rotary, and we would wish to tell us how best we can incorporate our efforts into your working. And so is the case with the National Education Foundation, which is primarily into the non-formal basic education. Incidentally, they also have around 16,000 people spread all over the country. And these two organizations, I wanted to apprise you, since we have not been, I must admit, not been interacting very widely amongst ourselves in the past. So we may not be aware of each other's capabilities. So that's why I wish to apprise you that please, we don't want to be in the advisory role. We will be taking advice from you. We'll be asking you to show us the direction. We will only be there to help and support you. And wherever you want the government to take on the full load, we are even there. We're going to accept for that as well. So with that role and the aspirations that the federal government has towards making Pakistan a literate Pakistan by 2017, and the kind of wherewithal we have with us, and knowing your intentions and resolve, we would like to create these synergies and work as a team towards achieving the goals enshrined in the Kathmandu mood. And I wish to thank you for a very patient hearing. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Rotary Club Sakhar started school in 1991, and today is 21 years old. We are running this school. When we are started this school, we have only 42 students, and 2010 we have 500 students. And in this running year, we add 150 students more and add extra rooms, computer lab too. Now this year we are going to started this school running on matric level. Now we are going to update it in first year inter classes, separate classes for girls, and starting a separate kids section, and adding 5 new rooms for the add new students. And inshallah 2012 we will be more than 800 students in our school. Rotary Club Sakhar working on this school for a quality education and upgrade the literacy rate in our city. We have computer lab, over 25 activities our school working in a year. Our student from the 5 years, our student got 100% result from board of matric, for board of intermediate, and more than 80% students got A grade and A1 grade. Our students got a scholarship from the government different activities, and this year our student got 10,000 prize 10,000 first prize rupees 10,000 in throw ball competition. Our students are also going in extra activities like cricket, badminton and other. इंटरमीडिएट के साथ साथ गर्ल्स के लिए सेपरेट क्लासेस अरेंज कर रहे हैं और इसके साथ ही हम लोग इसी साल इसके अंदर 5 न्यू रूम्स ऐड करने जा रहे हैं जो कि नई कंस्ट्रक्शन हम करवाएंगे। और इस सारे प्रोजेक्ट्स को कंप्लीट करने के लिए हमें तकरीबन कोई 5 to 8 मिलियन से ऊपर का है एक्सपेंडिचर, जो कि हम लोग मुख्तलिफ प्रोजेक्ट से उसको अरेंज कर रहे हैं, कुछ स्कूल से फंड्स अरेंज कर रहे हैं और उसको सारे को कंप्लीट करने के लिए काम कर रहे हैं। थैंक यू वेरी मच। अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, namaste, and good morning. Honorable guests from India, Rotarians, ladies and gentlemen. My apologies for breaking the protocol, deviation from the protocol, but you know there's a time constraint. Now, education is the birthright of every individual, but unfortunately, this is not the situation in this part of the world. Of course, hats off to Sri Lanka, and as very well elaborated by Director Shekhar, so there is a big gap between the education for the haves and the education for the have-not. Education is only the prerogative of the privileged class in this part of the world. We started to fill the gap. The district, Rotary District 3271, initiated this program, and I think today, giving the first session prime slot time to literacy is one of the proofs of that. Rotary Club Karachi South started what is known as non-formal education. Non-formal education is the fast-track learning for underdeveloped countries or the third world, and it takes 4 months to make a male or female completely illiterate person to make it literate. The person can read, write, and do simple mathematics. So in fact, it is the 3 R's. Of course, the person can read the newspapers and write something. So from completely being illiterate, becomes a literate. So our efforts are in fact what they say, a drop in the ocean. But then they say drops do make an ocean. Thank you. और अब मेरा कहना यह है शेखर साहब से कि हमने भी जनाब 2200 गोरियाँ तैयार की हैं पिछले साल में, तो हमने आपके नक्श कदम पे चलते हुए 2200 गौरियाँ या गोरियाँ जो भी है वो तैयार की हैं। और मेरा जो रिवॉर्ड है वो ये कि इनकी आंखों में बच्चियों की जो होंठों पे मुस्कुराहट और आंखों में चमक होती है, दैट इज़ माय ग्रेटेस्ट अवार्ड। थैंक यू वेरी मच लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन।
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to speak at this very important forum of Rotary Club, and I am very highly indebted to the Governor, Mr. Iqbal Qureshi. You see, what happens is that most of the time the VIP gives lip service to any kind of efforts, but in his case I have noticed that he personally took the time out to visit the vocational center, and he admired the way we have built it, the way we have provided for the instructors. I think he provided us the necessary motivation to go ahead and do it and build it up more and more. Just before coming to the stage, I was reminded that I have to be short and sweet. And this reminds me of a very interesting story which I would tell, because everybody seems to be very serious and we have to go into a little bit of relaxed mood. So this bus driver and priest, they died, and then they were taken to heaven. And when they were in heaven, the decision had to be made whether they go to paradise or to hell. So the priest came first because obviously he was all the time giving sermons, so he was handled first. So the decision was made that the priest will go to hell, and he was surprised. He said, "Look, I have been giving so many sermons, and so many people were attending, and I was all the time, spending in building the religion and so on." So the God said that, "Look, your sermons were too long, and because of that, a lot of people decided not to turn up to listen to what you have got to say." Next came the bus driver, and the decision was made that he will go to paradise.
And people were surprised. Why? How he could go to paradise? Actually, then it dawned on the people that he used to drive very fast. So people were, they used to fear for their life. And they used to pray. And so that's why he was going to paradise. Okay, so I will make my speech very short. What I will do is I will try to show you a film about, because I think a good time has been spent on literacy. Of course, that's a very important base to build on, but it's also important to provide some kind of vocational training skills to our workforce, because remember, it's a tsunami which is building up. There are approximately 60% of our population is between the age of 13 to 45. So I'll show you the film first.
Good news for you. I am the last speaker of this session. So my presentation. Actually, this is not my presentation. It was prepared by a gentleman, Madhav Mohan from India, who is one of the pioneers of IT advancement in India. And he is basically a trainer, a motivator, speaker, sportsman, etc. So this is suggested by him. He suggests that instead of going to increase literacy by conventional modes, we should use technology to increase the literacy by 2007, as we are, planning or claiming. Yes, this is the basic concept. It's no longer necessary to plod on incremental path to total literacy. A combination of technology and networks can be deployed to make an exponential growth in the literacy role. India is now at 74% literacy, with Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka is already at around 91%. Pakistan, I think, is 55% something. By forging a synergistic combination of technology with a deep and wide community network, the exciting possibility of achieving 100% literacy role by 2017 is well within the realms of possibility. It's not something unachievable. Yes, next. Next. Yes. Next. Okay. IT offers the promise of leapfrogging the incremental approach by eliminating classrooms, eliminating teachers, which is not possible 100%, but to some extent, eliminating the stress and shame associated with learning, enabling illiterate learners to learn at their own pace, minimal administrative and recurring costs. Next. How? By combining pedagogy with hardware and software and creating a small handheld device embedded with a literacy learning curriculum using multimedia-based self-learning modules. He is suggesting a tablet, which is now quite in fashion now, and many people are using tablets now. Total consultancy services already has a pedagogy that can make a person literate in 40 hours. 40 hours on that hardware and with that software. If you spend 40 hours, you can, become a literate person. Can Rotary combine the pedagogy, hardware, software, and his own vast and resourceful network to produce a handheld device that can eliminate classroom infrastructure? Yes. Yeah. For this, Rotary can lead and forge a grand alliance to make a revolutionary e-slate that we call it, whatever different names, and he's suggesting e-slate. Yeah, a combination of design, functionality, technology, scale, partnership, and its price would be around $10 per slate, assuming an average literacy rate 70% in a total population of around 1.5 billion in South Asia. Total number of illiterate people is 400 to 500 million. So we will need 400 to 500 million slates, or maybe one can be shared by 10 to 15 people. One person, one e-slate. E-slate for all ESFA. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Engineer M. Iqbal Qureshi, District Governor, Mr. Mohammad Faiz Kadwai, Conference Chairman, Mr. Shekhar Mehta, Director Rotary International, Mr. Krish, who is representing President of Rotary International, Professor Khan Shah Zaman, Dr. Andrew, Mr. Akhtar, delegates from outside Pakistan, all over Pakistan, Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. I am really grateful to the conference chairman for giving me this opportunity to share with this august gathering about health, hygiene, disease prevention, as well as education. Here, in a healthcare university, we are providing education as well as health and prevention to the masses. Now, when we talk about Pakistan and current statistics about health, we all know we have total population of 180 million and we have very huge mortality rate, which is for infant and maternal mortality. Now, this is the burden of disease which we have in the form of communicable diseases and non-communicable diseases. When we talk about communicable diseases, we have hepatitis, we have typhoid, we have cholera, diarrhea, and so on and so forth. And we talk about non-communicable diseases, we have obesity, cardiovascular diseases, stroke, cancer, respiratory diseases, diabetes, psychological diseases, and so on and so forth. Now, if we take body as a whole, then the common diseases which we come across, starting from our mind, is the mental health, and that is extremely important to care for. Then we can have brain tumors, stroke. Oral cancer is the one which is extremely important for Pakistan because of the betel nut chewing and the gutka problem. Similar is the issue with throat cancer, and then is the issue of lung cancer because of smoking. We also, amongst non-communicable diseases, have breast cancer. Tuberculosis is very highly prevalent. Chronic obstructive airway diseases, hypertension, coronary artery disease, diabetes. In the form of liver disease, we have hepatitis A, B, C, E, and then we have other GI diseases in the form of very common like GI upsets, cancers of the colon, and in females we have ovarian carcinoma, endometrial carcinomas, and then the problems of amputation, problems of osteoporosis. So it is a huge spectrum of diseases which we may come across. I will not go into the details, but I will share with you that how a healthcare university has prepared itself for going in for management as these challenges which are posing huge burden on the healthcare resources of Pakistan. Now, when we became university in year 2004, I was appointed as the founding Vice Chancellor of Dow University of Health Sciences, and we decided that we'll work on to academic excellence, human resource development, and community health care. And this is, I want to mention that this water filter, I and my friend, we conceived, we designed, and we did R&D on this water filter, which is a hand pump, solar powered. Because you see, in Pakistan, the issue is that government installed many water filters, but they needed generator, they needed diesel for that, and we had lot of problems. So we designed this water filter, which is a hand pump, so that you see, they can pull out water, and then is the capacity. I'll just go in that this is from inside, and we have added a sand filter first and the charcoal filter later on, then a polypropylene filter, and then is the ultraviolet. Because you all know, and we have been talking about viral diseases, polio as well as hepatitis A and E and other viruses, they cannot be prevented until and unless you have this ultraviolet filter. So we said that we would also put in an ultraviolet filter over there, and the power for ultraviolet filter, if there is no electricity, will come through this solar panel. And we have installed already 6 of such water filters, and one is in Karachi. If you want to know, you want to go, it is in Machhar colony, and people are making best use. But this is a medium-sized water filter, and which is sufficient to produce almost 36 liters of water using electric motor in 8 hours. And this is good for about a community of 3,000 people. So when we are talking about prevention of diseases, I would stress on to prevention of communicable diseases with the help of provision of safe drinking water. And here is this filter, which costs us about, the manufacturing cost is 200,000 rupees. But there we have, if there is no electricity, it can be installed and people are using it. Other 5 we have installed in Tharparkar, Mirpur Khas, and flood hit areas. So they are working very nicely. And would like to propose that let's work together. Here is a university which has developed which is only 8 years old. It is in this city. It has got many departments. It has got a very good human resource. It is catering for education as well as for health. And now if you have any suggestions, you want to make use of this facility which we have, we are very much open. And the main purpose of myself coming over here is that I am very much motivated by the work of what as Rotarian you people are doing. And we also would like to contribute towards helping others. With this, I am really grateful to all of you. Thank you very much.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. District Governor, Engineer Mr. Iqbal Qureshi Sahab, Chairman Conference, Mr. Faiz Qudwai Sahab, Professor Masood Hamid Khan, Dr. Andrew, Dr. Akhtar, Mr. Saeed Shamsi, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. I must thank the Rotary Club for inviting me at this auspicious gathering. Especially Mr. Faiz Qudwai has been very much instrumental in establishing the relationship of the Rotary Club with the National Institute of Cardiovascular Diseases. And I thank all his efforts which he has made so far. Now, I know we are running short of time, so the just next 10 to 15 minutes, I would like to just discuss the diseases and the facilities available in our country. Now, you see, basically my talk is split into 2 halves. First is the disease burden of the basically a non-communicable diseases in this part of the world. And the second half deals with the facilities available in the public sector in a third world country, a developing country like Pakistan. Basically, Pakistan is a nation of 180 million people, out of which around 20 to 25% they live in the urban areas, and the remaining 80% they live in the rural areas. And as we all are aware, there are 5 provinces, and then there's a recent newly made 5th province, and then federal controlled areas. Moreover, there is also Azad Kashmir. So this is the whole area which belong to Pakistan. And the important thing is that we share more or less common lifestyle. If you go to the urban side, more or less we eat same thing, but certainly our disease pattern, of the type of disease which we get, varies from place to place. Fortunately, people in the rural areas, they still have a different local type of lifestyle. Now, basically, what Professor Masood Hamid has said, it's correct that, there's a lot of burden or a lot of work need to be done for the communicable diseases. But the non-communicable diseases have emerged as a major killer in this part of the world. And in fact, that's the challenge which we are going to face in next decade. And that's where I would like to focus my talk on. So finally, we need certainly a multi-dimensional approach. We must focus on the primary prevention. Having said everything about the facilities available, still the primary prevention is the only way out of coming, treating this menace and overcoming all this problem which is going to take over this part of the world by the year 2020. And I again thank the Rotary Club and expect that Rotary Club will continue their cooperation with us and will come forward with new proposals to extend our facilities for poor and needy. In the last, I thank you, the organizers, again for giving me this opportunity to present my case. Thanks.
Thank you very much, dear Rotarians, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum. It is immense pleasure to be in front of you, such a distinguished audience, and distinguished audience that represents a success story for Pakistan, I would say. And I had a really pleasure listening to two previous speakers, and I was fascinated by their presentation, which is obvious illustration to the fact that Pakistan can progress in terms of, in the medical field, high technology, sophisticated services. But will it progress rapidly unless we address basics? And I'm afraid I don't want to be carrying bad messages today because it's a very fine, special day, but I just want to remind you that there are some very, very basic stuff out there that we need to keep in mind, and that addressing the basic stuff, if not more, equally important. And I tell you about that, what is the basic stuff. For example, it's going to be very short. It's not a presentation, it's an address. And it's just the fact that I'm happy to be here to speak to you from my heart and my mind. Okay, let me give you something. 95% of the urban population have access to flush toilets in Karachi, but only 25% has an access to flush toilets in the rural scene. Okay? Water, access to the quality water, 70% in Karachi and less than 40% in the rural scene. Another couple of striking statistics that talks about the communities in general. When it comes to the hand washing after using latrines or hand washing before you prepare your meal. So if you look at the statistics in Karachi, it's 80%, but in the entire rural scene and other cities, it's less than 50%. That means that half of people in the interior scene, they don't wash hands after they use sanitation facilities. And then only 60% of people wash their hands before they cook meals. Now, my point is, ladies and gentlemen, that no matter how sophisticated healthcare you have, with all the sophisticated and high-tech equipment, if mother doesn't wash hands before she cooks a meal for a child, the child is going to get sick, isn't it? So what we're going to do about that? Aren't we going to focus on that? And then I came here a little bit in the morning to listen speakers speaking about the Millennium Development Goals. Pakistan is not near to reaching many of those. Again, sorry, I'm speaking out of my heart because I had spent 2.5 years in Pakistan. I love Pakistanis people, and whatever I say, it's not to carry a negative message, it's just to raise a concern, because concern and being a constructive to do something about that. And I have an example which will be in the conclusion of my little intro. Now, let me remind you some of the important elements, because here we are a society representing really, really distinguished society, part of the society of Pakistan. And I would like to remind you the fact that how society has legal, moral, and other responsibilities. For example, I'm sure that many of you heard about the Convention on the Rights of the Child. Have you? which was universally adopted in 1990. What does this convention say? Can anybody in this room tell me what is the difference between the need and the right? Speaking of a child, what is the difference between child has a need for water, for education, for nutrition, and child has a right for education, nutrition, water, etc. What is the difference? Yes, please. Thank you very much. Excellent, excellent. The need is there. But sorry, who cares? But when we are speaking about rights, that means that we all, starting with the government, as a duty bearers, we are all responsible, morally and legally, to meet those rights. So that's what I would like to set the stage. Whenever we try to do something for our society, for our community, we have to remember that we're morally and legally, since we ratified the Convention of the Rights of the Child, we're morally and legally responsible to meet those rights. Now, let me tell you another thing. What about children? Why children? Why children and women? And why especially the early childhood development, early childhood education? Let me give you a very, very simple example. It is scientifically has been proven, and we have tons of information about that, that if something happens to a child between 0 till 6, it is irreversible. That means that the child will not gonna gain back whatever the deviation had happened to his development, whether it's a physical, mental, emotional. If something had broken, you will never fix it. We all adults can get sick, but we can be treated and more or less come back unless we get something fatal. But for children, that's why nutrition for children, cognitive development before, it's critical, and it's a matter of security for the country. Why? Because you might lose a generation. If you are not giving them vitamin D, if you are not iodine, vitamin A, and children are undernourished. They're going to go to school, but they are not going to absorb that education. They are not going to get their potential development. And who are they later? They are the less equipped to produce the wealth for the country, and I don't want to say, but they are the people that get into the extreme activities.
Fellow Rotarians, I am really grateful to this part of my old District 3270 for giving me this honor of presenting a formal thanks. We've had a wonderful session of a lot of information which was delivered by Professor Masood Hamid Khan. One thing which was very, very important to know, and I think most of you would have benefited from this information, that at the Dow Medical University, we are now, by the grace of God and with the effort of people like Professor Hamid, that we've got all the facilities which are required to do the proper, timely diagnosis of the diseases. We talked about the communicative diseases and the non-communicative diseases. In the communicative diseases part, we, the Rotarians, have been doing a lot as to the vaccination and all that. We talked about polio. We talked about other vaccinations. Professor, we are definitely, a lot of clubs in Pakistan, I can assure you, are providing vaccination for the hepatitis also. And the good part of what he has been telling is that the charges at the Dow Medical University, I noticed, is about 40% of what the charges are in the open market. So that will facilitate, that will help you getting, every Rotary Club in Pakistan is trying to support the needy people in getting the tests done. What we have noticed in Punjab, I don't know about Sindh, and that is the medical facilities, the medicines, operations, things, etc., are being done at the government hospitals without any charge. But the testing is to be done from outside, and which is very expensive. Now, such facilities, I hope we have such facilities developed in the northern part also, where the cost of tests comes down, and that is going to be great. As regards to a very good lecture by Dr. Khan, Shahzaman Khan, about the non-communicative diseases. Non-communicative diseases are, to be honest, is a result of our living style. पेट बड़ा होना हमेशा जो है वो आपके इस बात की निशानदही करता था कि आप खाते पीते घर से हैं। अब आपने डराना शुरू कर दिया कि पेट बढ़ने से क्या कुछ होता है। बहरहाल बात यह है कि वी हैव to look into the possibility of informing